All right there, folks. Hello there. This is Alan recording another comprehensive Magic the Gathering Arena Draft video. So, today we're going to do something special. Instead of continuing with our Premier Draft Crimson Vow, we're going to take a quick break here, and then we're going to do some quick draft Strixhaven instead. Kind of review over this set, and lo and behold, let's see what my Mythic ranking is. Did it drop? Did it increase? I guess it increased. All right, and usually that does happen. The last time I was logged on to Magic the Gathering Arena, I was rank 4. I ended with rank 4 with Premier Draft Crimson Vow, and it looks like I got 3rd place. So maybe the person who used to have 3rd place lost the ranking. And funny enough, when Premier Draft Strixhaven was out, I also made it to rank 3 Mythic. But this time we get to start rank 3 Mythic with quick drafts Strixhaven. And just to go over the set, we're going to be doing bot drafts, so it's not going to be timed. And yeah, we're going to revisit some of the cards that appear in the pack, what the top commons are, what uncommons you should take over the commons, what rares, etc., and what colleges that you should prioritize. So let's begin. And let's see what we have in our first pack. So first things first, we want to analyze the pack to find the most powerful cards. And what do we have here? The loading is taking forever. Sorry, guys. I just loaded this app not too long ago. All right. The first, so our rare we open is Leonin Lightscribe. How powerful this is this card? I think this card is near bomb status in the white aggressive decks. And white tends to go really wide and aggressive. There's a lot of cheap instances and sorceries to cast, and then just being able to give your whole team +1/+1 is quite great. So Leonin Lightscribe, I feel like, is definitely one of the rares that you should pick over every other common and uncommon. But yeah, and White's solid game plan in this format, regardless of Boros or Silverquill, is to be aggressive and go wide. So I do like the Leonin Lightscribe. Looking at the uncommons, doesn't seem like anything too exciting. Their start from scratch is a fine lesson. Usually they can wheel. You don't really want to first pick this card. Yeah, this can be decent if you are trying to learn something in Prismari or Lorehold. There's Master Cemetress, which is also fine uncommon. I'm not sure if I would take this over some of the premium commons in the set, but it's definitely close in terms of power level. It's just a good blocker on turn 4. A 4/4 body is really solid, and then also has reach, so it's kind of like a turn 4 Scourge Colony without the 8 lands. But keep in mind, the card I just mentioned, Scourge Colony, is also a 2-drop that can become a 4/4 reach in the late game once you have 8 lands. Usually the whole power equal to its toughness. Trample ability applies mostly to large fractal tokens that you can generate through Ley Lignification and Serpentine Curve. So this is a good card. But again, there's always there's better uncommons and commons that I would maybe take over Master Cemetress, pack 1, pick 1. And then, yeah, speaking of Scourge Colony, here it is at common. This is the one of the ones I was talking about. Definitely a top green common. But yeah, there's also Overgrown Arch. It's best in the black green life gain deck, which is usually Witherbloom, as a nice recursive way to just generate life over and over. And the ability to sack it later on to learn up a card is quite excellent as well. It's also fine in Quandrix, even though Quandrix doesn't care about life. It's still a good blocker, and then being able to gain life incrementally can help you stabilize. But at its best is a powerful engine in Witherbloom, and funny enough, it could actually be better than the Master Cemetress, since I feel like this is a much more important key piece if you do end up in Witherbloom, whereas Master Cemetress you don't necessarily need in Quandrix, since Quandrix can, again, make large giant fractal tokens later on, as well as cards like Scourge Colony that can also just become 4/4s in a late game. Obviously, the trample ability is nice, and the 4/4 body is always good. But there's always, the Professor Professor Zoology at common, which is a 4-mana 4/3 that makes a 1/1 pest. So when you're analyzing the uncommons in a set, it's always important to know what commons can compete against it. And even though it's a good uncommon, you got to think, is there a common that can do almost the same thing? And if there is, do I really need to prioritize it? So yeah, we're just definitely going to take Leonin Lightscribe here. I think if Leonin Lightscribe was in this pack, I would actually take maybe Overgrown Arch. Witherbloom is considered one of the weaker colleges. I still think it's better than Lorehold. It is still considered one of the weakest, but if you But if you assemble the right key pieces in the Witherbloom deck, you can, you get you wheel all the uncommons and commons like Blood Researcher, like it can definitely become a tier 1 deck. So definitely don't sleep on Witherbloom. It's just that a lot of the uncommons and rares aren't very good. So let's take the Leonin Light Scribe here, and then maybe draft an aggressive white deck. And usually when you want to be aggressive white, you want to lean towards Silverquill as much as possible. But sometimes it's not open, so you might have to just draft red and maybe go red-white aggro. And also find lesson here of introduction to Prophecy. One of the more weaker lessons, but still fine if you need some value in a grindy deck. So let's take Leonin Light Scribe here and see if we can end up Silverquill. After first picking Leonin Light Scribe, okay, there's some decent black uncommons that are pretty solid. Agonizing Remorse is okay. I'm not sure if I want to prioritize it. Usually in Silverquill there is the black-white gold uncommon, which does a similar role but puts a 1/1 counter onto your creature and you don't lose a life. That card, I guess, is also in Silverquill, so if Silverquill is open, we don't need to prioritize a card like Agonizing Remorse, which is okay. There's Eye Twitch as a really nice, excellent 1-drop. There's also a 1-drop at common, but the fact that this learns is quite excellent. And usually if you want to be in Silverquill, you want to be low to the ground, so you don't mind starting out with a 1-drop evasive threat that can generate value. Once you put a counter onto this, the opponent will, it's going to be a threat that must be answered, and once it gets answered, you gain value. So Eye Twitch, I think, is an excellent 1-drop in the white aggressive decks. Necrotic Fumes, I feel better if you have some pest tokens to sacrifice, so it's a nice lesson to have if you are in Witherbloom. If I'm going to be leaning towards Silverquill, I don't want to prioritize that as much. And there's another Master Semitress, which is again a good uncommon. And then at common, the best common here are between like Quandrix Pledge Mage. Definitely easier to cast in Quandrix, but I've actually gone off with this in Prismari. Blood Researcher as a important common to have in Witherbloom, and then Mage Hunter Onslaught, probably the best common out of this pack overall. The Spirit Summoning is a fine lesson, but definitely not one of the top lessons in this format. So the choice here is definitely between the two black cards, Eye Twitch and Mage Hunter's Onslaught, in my opinion. I've kind of gone down on these expensive removal spells, obviously 4-mana Destroy any creature is always a good card, and, there's nothing wrong just taking the removal to be safe. But I find that usually, again, Silverquill wants to be very low to the ground, and you want some early aggressive creatures, and sometimes you're just looking to close out the game by giving your creatures flying, or you are able to fly. Yeah, you're able to fly over with Professor of Combat on turn 4, and it does feel kind of awkward sometimes if you end up in Silverquill with Professor of Combats, that this 4-drop removal spell takes up that slot, and double block is not the easiest to cast. So I'm actually leaning towards the Eye Twitch. I think it's makes more sense in Silverquill, but I wouldn't mind taking a Mage Hunter's Onslaught would be a secondary choice here if this wasn't in this pack. Since I don't want to move out of Silverquill, and Lorehold is definitely the worst guild in my opinion. So let's take an Eye Twitch here. Makes sense following up Eye Twitch into Leonin Light Scribe. So yeah, there's also a nice uncommon here with God's Willing as a way to protect your creature in Scry 1, and it's really cheap to cast. And usually, so it's going to be at its best in the aggressive deck, since you're going to have some open mana sometimes in the late game to keep up God's Willing or early on, and then it can protect your creature, so this is great. Best card in this pack is probably the Overgrown Arch, but I don't know if we want to move into Witherbloom after we have the Light Scribe. There's also some good comments here. Eager's First Year, I think, is a really good 2-drop. Probably, I do like Eager First Year a lot in the white aggressive decks. This card has also overperformed. There is a Pilgrim in the Ages as a good 3-drop as well that you wouldn't mind playing in any white deck and gain you a bit of value to hit your land drops, and then later on you can just recur this and bring this back. This is more of a Lorehold flavored card, but I'm always fine playing this in any white deck. That being said, it is kind of understated for 3 mana, and in Silverquill you're just looking to end the game quickly, so you don't necessarily want a grindy card like Pilgrim of the Ages, but I can definitely see this being a top white common. Definitely not like first or second, but maybe third or fourth or fifth. And then there's also Arrogant Poet as a good 2-drop. I don't know which one I would choose between these two. I would probably lean towards Arrogant Poet because you have the ability to fly over. But I feel like this can get kind of awkward if you need to keep paying 2 life to attack. Whereas Eager First Year, I think is better early on, since if you can just, it has the extra 2 toughness, and then getting that extra point of damage whenever you learn onto this is great. And then there's also Campus and Introduction to Prophecy. I think I'm going to lean towards the God's Willing here and not try to fight over these two. There is the 1 mana give a creature indestructible in this format. That's in black, but I think Protection is a lot stronger, and getting this Dry one is no joke. And then this has a much more unique effect. So, I mean, I'm not. If we do end up Witterbloom, not Witterbloom. If we end up Silverquill, I highly doubt we're going to be lacking playables, since it does seem very open. So it's nice having this unique effect here to protect one of our key creatures. It's going to be a little bit awkward using it when you're attacking, because this is a card you want to keep up to protect your creature. So even if your creature gets pumped on their turn, it's not going to benefit a whole lot. But sometimes you can just end the game with the God's Willing if you can give one of your creatures protection, and so it becomes unblockable towards one of their colors. You can just go for an Alpha Strike and it's fine. So, yeah, I think I'll take a God's Willing here over, like, I don't know, moving the Witterbloom or Overgrown Arch or any of these other white-black cards. So, yeah, let's take it here. And is Witterbloom still open? I'm a big fan of Expanded Anatomy in sorry, I keep saying Witterbloom, but it's actually Silverquill. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the Expanded Anatomy in Silverquill. I do like this as one of the... I think this lesson goes best in the Silverquill deck. Otherwise, there's some okay cards. Negates, I like in any blue deck. It's pretty good in this format, since there's a lot of non-creature spells being cast, since everyone's trying to trigger Magecraft, and then there's expensive things like Leyline Invocation that are looking to resolve. Pillar Drop Rescue is okay, but I'd rather have the 5-mana 3/3 flyer. I'll still play it if I don't end up with enough 5-drops, but it's okay. Overall, this pack is just okay. Like, there's Pigment Storm as one of the better red commons, but as we know, red is probably the worst color in this format. So I think I'll take Expanded Anatomy here. There's also Plum the Forbidden, which is one of the uncommons you could play in Witterbloom, but yeah, it's also just not an exciting uncommon. Like I've stated, Witterbloom has these weird, awkward uncommons sometimes that are kind of more situational and play better in a constructed environment. So let's take an Expanded Anatomy. Alright, this pack is just medium. There's nothing exciting in Silverquill. There is Detention Vortex, which I think is pretty bad. Like, I guess this could be a way to lock down a creature early and get an attack, but eventually they can just activate the ability to destroy it. I mean, it can be a fine cheap tempo play, so I actually don't think it's that bad, but it's pretty bad. I mean, I guess sometimes you just want to lock something down right for a turn to get an attack. I might even actually try it, now that I think about it, since it's just so cheap and we might need some interaction. Defend the Campus is okay. Sometimes you can snipe a creature with this, or you can use this as a pump effect to go wide. So it's a really flexible card that I wouldn't mind taking. The Lorehold Apprentice is nothing special. Even if we end up in the aggro Witterbloom, it's not that great. Like, who cares? Like, even if you trigger a Magecraft, you don't necessarily just want to tap your creatures to ping the opponent. You're better off just attacking them with the Flying Spirit creature. So this is probably one of the worst Apprentice in this format. And then, Promising Dusk Mage is fine. If you can put a counter onto it, it's decent. I actually think this card is okay. Same as Spiteful Squad, but that card is just okay as well. And then the best card in this pack is probably Elemental Summoning, but I highly doubt we're going to be moving into red-white, and even if we end up red-white, this is going to be hard to cast. So, an interesting choice here. I don't think any of these black or white cards are wrong. I might even try out this Detention Vortex, given that it's just a cheap way to lock something down. Like, it does apply a bit of tempo onto your opponent. If you think about it, it's almost like a bounce effect. Like you lock down their creature, and they need to spend 3 mana to destroy this Detention Vortex. And it's also, they can only destroy it at sorcery speed. So I can see a situation where this is really bad in the late game if you're behind, but if you're being aggressive, it's actually not that bad now that I think about it. Of course, your creature could still have quote-unquote haste, since they're not being bounced to their hand and they stay on the battlefield. I don't know. I mean, the right pick could just be Detention, defend the Campus, honestly. Just go wide and then just have the flexibility to kill something at 4 mana. That's 4 toughness or great, but it's just too expensive. I'm going to take the Detention Vortex. This is totally wrong for some other folks, obviously, but either way, I think it just fits the theme for this deck. And I don't really care about the other cards in this pack, so let's try it maybe. Okay, alright, so maybe, maybe it's Silverquill is closed, Axis Tunnel could be fine. if you need to make a creature unblockable, but it can be bad with the mana base. Could also just take an introduction to Annihilation as a fine lesson. Like, it's not wrong having this. It's obviously very bad if you need to cast it exactly on turn 5 and the opponent has a lot of lands, cards in hand, but let's just say they're lacking cards and you're closing out the game. Sometimes just getting their blocker out away and attacking for lethal could be decent. So I'll take the introduction to Annihilation. Also pretty late Blood Researcher, and maybe blue, green, maybe the blue. It looks like blue and maybe Witterbloom is kind of open. So we'll keep our eye on that. And anything here, there's another introduction to Annihilation. There's an Essence Infusion as a fine ways to put counters onto creatures to get into attacks. Some attacks and some busted starts in Silverquill can lead with that. Like, you can turn one Eye Twitch or the Unwilling Ingredient, put 2 counters onto it, and it's a must-answer threat already. So yeah, I don't mind having a copy of Essence Infusion if we end up Silverquill. The other cards are fine. Stonebound Mentor is just a 3-mana 3/3. We have an introduction to Annihilation. Cemetery Stage is pretty bad. This is an okay lesson if we end up somehow in red-white, I guess, but I don't care about it that much. This is also whatever. Sometimes it's either hit or miss, and even if you make a 3/2, it's not that important. And I don't know if we're splashing with Campus Guide, so I'll take an Essence Infusion. But I'm hoping Silverquill doesn't get cut off. And it might just be cut off since we're barely seeing any. So let's say we have to make a hard pivot. If we have to make a hard pivot, I think we just need to. I think we need to completely abandon Silverquill. And since I don't really see any good Witterbloom cards here, the best card here is probably Serpentine Curve if we end up Quandrix. I also don't care about Campus Guys much. There's also a decent dual land. I highly doubt we'll be splashing and maybe end up a Jeskai or anything. So I think I'll take the Serpentine Curve here. Reconstruct History is not even that great. Red-White doesn't want to be controlling or mid-ranging this format. It's looking to just beat down and be aggressive if you want to have the best Lorehold deck. It's very rarely that you end up in the grindy sort of Lorehold deck, and even then it's not great. I think I'll take a Serpentine Curve. Maybe we just make a hard pivot into Quandrix. Since we're barely seeing anything, this is a fine Quandrix card, but I could just take a fine lesson to stay open still. I'm hoping we can still get some Silverquill goodies in the next pack. Alright, we could maybe take an Agonizing Remorse as a fine way to disrupt the opponent's hand early on. There's also Exhilarating Elocution, which is also decent, but with Leonin, it's not too different from just an Essence Infusion sometimes. And then there's also the Defend the Campus, which does a similar role on turn 4. I think we just take the cheap hand disruption spell, since it's always nice to have in any aggressive deck. So, yeah, we'll try it here, and it also keeps us open. And I guess we'll take a Silverquill Campus, in case we still end up Silverquill, which I hope we do. But it does seem like the bots are contesting it right now. And nothing else here. I guess I'll take a Negate if we still end up blue. And this is a still good card. I don't care about Plum the Forbidden. Even in Witterbloom, I don't even think I really care. You need to make a ton of pest tokens, and Witterbloom doesn't really even seem that open. It seems like blue is the most open color, so I might actually make a hard pivot. Okay, I'll probably take a Promising Dusk Mage. It's okay. I mean, I'm not sure if I'll make the hard pivot, but who knows. Don't care about any of these. And yeah, we'll see. Even a late Cemetery Stage, so Sign Blue's open. Okay, well, we pick up a nice powerful rare for the Silverquill deck. I mean, this card is just kind of busted. So whenever one or more non-token creatures I control dies, you just make a 2/1. And since the Iterate gives the tokens +1/+1, your Inkling tokens are all going to be 3/2 flyers. Only triggers once per turn, but that's fine. It's pretty good. There's also a Closing Statement here, which would be my secondary pick as a powerful removal spell. But yeah, the Dramatic Finale has a lot more long-term value. That's more devastating, so if you play this main phase, you kind of force the opponent not to trade, and if they do, you still get value off of it. Seems a lot better than Closing Statement. Alternatively, what else is there in this pack? Hunt for Specimens is a fine way to learn. Wouldn't mind a Witterbloom Pledge Mage. Pack 1, pick 1, it's easy. Dramatic Finale, and I would definitely second pick Closing Statement, and I think Silverquill's the best guild. Along with Quandrix in this format, so we'll take a Dramatic Finale and hope it's as open as we think we are. At this point, I think we're just going to be forcing it almost. Alright, I could use a Silverquill Pledge Mage. There's also an Ingenious Mastery being passed to us. I think we're going to try to force Silverquill. I mean, we just took too many cards in the first pack. Show Confidence is also kind of cool. If you can It's not too different from actually Essence Infusion, but it can be slightly better since you can maybe put an extra counter if you're able to kind of storm off with this. But I'm still going to just pick the creature here just as a nice evasive flyer on turn 3. And then, yeah, we already have expanded anatomy, so don't need to prioritize it. Just need to make sure we have good creatures to curve out and attack with. And there it is, closing statement. That's nice. Ooh, Mythic's Mastery is a bomb. Funny enough, I'm not a big fan of Prismari. Prismari is kind of like an okay deck. And it doesn't really come together that often. Usually, if I end up in red, I end up splashing it in Quandrix. But Mythic's Mastery is definitely the card that you don't mind just going all out Prismari just to play, because if you overload for 8 mana, you almost just win the game if you have enough goodies in the graveyard. So this card's a bomb and definitely a first pick that I wouldn't mind trying to force Prismari to move into. But luckily for us, there's a closing statement here. Some other good cards, Field Trip, Mage Duel. Creative Outburst is not that great. It's just too expensive, and usually the 7 mana make 2/4/4s is a lot better. But we'll take a closing statement. And now we can take a Lash Imbalance since we don't mind a little bit of cheap interaction here. Spiteful Squad we might end up playing, but it's also not great. We do have the best common in this pack, Environmental Sciences. But given that we don't have that many ways to learn currently, and we have all these lessons, I think I'll prioritize the Lash. I mean, this card would be my secondary option here, but gotta take the Lash here since we know what we're doing here. And hopefully we pick up more ways to learn. Okay, between Pledge Mage and Leech Fanatic, we don't have that much 2s, but the 2s are kind of replaceable in this format, I think. Yeah, there's some decent. We could even play Campus Guide if we're sad enough. I think Silverquill Pledge Mage is just a better card than Leech Fanatic. The ability to give it flying is great. I mean, I could just take Leech Fanatic for the curve consideration. Honestly, it's not that bad. We can maybe pick up this later, and since we don't have any 2s, let's think here. I mean, I do have this higher than Leech Fanatic, but we already have one, and if we don't end up with enough 2s, this deck can be awkward. And either way, even if this is better, like the more 2s that we have in the Silverquill deck, you know, it's probably just better that way anyways. So let's take the Leech Fanatic. Expel's more of a defensive card. I don't really like it in Silverquill. Just want to keep the curve low. And then now this pack is completely dead. I'm not a big fan of Star Pupil. Rutha is pretty busted here. This is like one of the great cards to splash for in the Temur decks. Could maybe take a Village Right to go along with Eye Twitch, or if we pick up more pest tokens. I mean, Star Pupil will make the most sense here. There's also a Witherbloom Apprentice, but I highly doubt we're going to be black-green at this point. Black-green splashing closing statements, but we'll have to give up on Dramatic Finale and Leonin. So I guess the right pick is just Star Pupil and hope we don't end up playing it. And then, Humiliate is here. Do I really need Humiliate? I already have an Agonizing Remorse. It's definitely worse than Humiliate in the Silverquill deck, since you'd rather have a 1/1 counter. But it's almost the same thing. So this is kind of an example. Like, if you already have a card that does a similar role, you don't want too many of the same effects. I think we just take another Leech Fanatic here. We're passing up a 5-drop. But Humiliate is a very good card, but I think we just need to, again, lower the curve and then draft a nice Streamline Aggressive deck. And Shadewing Laureate is nice as a good 3-drop with Evasion. Also some decent lessons here. Reduce the memory. Spirit Summoning, but I don't really have that much learn. So I'm hoping we can pick up some Guiding Voices. Okay, there we go. Hunt for Specimens is perfect. Nice turn 2 play we can make, and then, yeah, it can get us some value for learning, which is definitely an important key piece in this format. Also, don't mind Witherbloom Pledge Mage in Silverquill. It doesn't have flying or evasion, which makes more sense in Silverquill, but it's still a big ground body that can sometimes get in for a good chunk of damage, but it's still Hunt for Specimens here. And then we might just play Defend the Campus as a way to pump or, you know, kill something. So nice seeing these Silverquill cards wheel to us. But we definitely need to get more ways to learn. Wouldn't mind a good 5-drop flyer to help us close out the game. But we'll see. Ooh, okay, Shell is a bomb. And it's perfect for the Silverquill deck. Definitely the pick here. Like, there's other great cards, like Eliminate would be my second choice as another good interaction spell in our deck. Rise of Exodus is a nice top-end removal spell to get a learn card. don't want too many of these in Silverquill, but like one copy could be nice. And but I would definitely take Eliminate over it. But this has to be Shale here. Not only is it a 2-drop that you can play early, but you can just keep loading up counters onto your creature, so it's kind of like a must-kill threat. And then even then, Embrose is a fine better play in the late game sometimes, since you can just put counters again, just like Shale, and then if they end up dying, you just draw a card. So Embrose is a better late game card, Shale's a better early game card. Either way, this card is going to be my pick here. Otherwise, it would be Eliminate. In terms of interaction, we have a closing statement already. Maybe we played Detention Vortex, we have Lash of Malice, and then sometimes we can just pump our creatures and fly over instead of killing it, something to attack. So let's just take Shale, Dean of Radiance, and could take our first Inkling Summoning. Again, not too many ways to learn in this deck, so that's going to be a bit of a problem, but it's definitely one of the better cards I want to learn outside of Expanded Anatomy. Yeah, I think the choice that makes the most sense is Inkling Summoning here. It's probably the best lesson in this format. Otherwise, it would be a second Lash of Malice, which I also don't think is wrong. But I do want to have my first copy of Inkling Summoning in this type of deck, and hopefully we can pick up more ways to learn. And do we have more ways to learn? Okay, another Lash versus another Silverquill Pledge Mage. Kind of just liking another Silverquill Pledge Mage to kind of round out our 3-drop department. Don't think I need another Expanded Anatomy, no ways to learn. So yeah, we just need to make sure we have enough creatures. We only have 8 creatures, so keep that in mind. So it's important to just pick up more, because if you're going to be playing aggressive deck, you want more creatures than removal for the most part. And we already have a Lash of Malice. I mean, I guess we already have a Silverquill Pledge Mage, but come on. Gotta take another one to help us close out the game. And I'll take an Arrogant Poet as a good 2-drop. So we have some good early game. The only thing lacking is the mid-game. There is the Clever Lumimaster, which is great in Silverquill, but if we don't have ways to put 1/1 counters onto it, it's kind of a dead card. Yeah, if we have more Guiding Voices, it would be great, but we have none. So I think it's just a Campus here to improve our mana base. And then we'll just keep taking a Leech Fang. Actually, we'll take Study Break. It's not only a good interaction spell, but it helps us learn. You can kind of think of this as Ardent Veil Tactician from Throne of Eldraine. Like, you tap 2 creatures down, and then you can learn up an Inkling Summoning. So that was a really nice gift. Hopefully we can have enough playables before the end of this pack. But yeah, I'll take a Study Break. And then I'll just take another Arrogant Poet, given that we have double Leash Fanatic already. Since we have those double Leash Fanatics to offset life loss. And then there's our Allen Shield Mage we're finally talking about. Could use a good top-end flyer. So, alright, it's shaping up. We already have a Defend the Campus, already have Star Pupil. Could take a Crushing Disappointment now. Highly doubt we'll be playing Crushing Disappointment since it's more of a grindier card. But we already have Defend the Campus and not going to play 2 copies. So might as well just take the Disappointment just to have some diversity in the sideboard. Highly doubt we'll be splashing red. Take another Essence Infusion. Might main deck 2 copies since we might be lacking playables. But we'll see. Highly doubt we'll be taking the Archivist. Highly doubt we'll be sacrificing anything. And yeah, so we have a solid Silverquill deck. It's not busted. I definitely seem a lot worse. But it's definitely really solid. We can run 16 lands with it, given that the curve is incredibly low. And it's like we can just definitely get away with 16 lands and 2 tap lands. Since everything starts at 2 mana in this type of deck. We don't have any mana sinks at all. So I think I'm liking the Defend the Campus as a main deckable card, since we don't have the best removal. We have the Tension Vortex, which is mixed, which I can actually see playing in this deck actually. I wouldn't count this as removal as like a protection spell. Lash. Agonizing Remorse is pseudo-removal, I guess. Study Break is kind of pseudo-removal. And Closing Statement. So we have a decent amount of interaction, but I could use a flexible spell that can maybe help us pump our team, and also kill something. So Defend the Campus looks like a good choice here. And I think we can get away. I think we might have to go with 17 lands, given that we're lacking playables. I mean, yeah, that we're already lacking playables. So what card do we want to consider in the main deck? Don't think I need a 6-drop. That's just a random clunky card. I don't believe in main decking Lessons. I think that's a sham. And the Lessons we're mostly going to grab is just Inkling Summoning and Expanded Anatomy. How much learn cards do we have? I think we only have 2. Yeah, I guess we have 3 learn cards, so it's not that bad. And then we have like 4 lessons to grab. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this seems fine. And then I don't think we're playing Maker Mark. There's a Crushing Disappointment I could play. And then that could be reasonable, since if we go 17 lands, that could be okay. There's also another Essence Infusion. I don't think I'll be playing second Promising Dust Mage, because it's not great unless you can load up a counter onto this. There's also Random Star Pupil as a mediocre 1-drop we could even try, which also isn't the worst, given that we're lacking creatures. It's kind of awkward, because usually with this card you want to keep putting more counters onto this. But we're only at 12 creatures so far, so adding more non-creature spells is kind of concerning. So maybe we do just try out the Star Pupil here. It's not like an amazing 1-drop. How many ways do we have to load up counters? Not much. Essence Infusion, Closing Statement, maybe Shale can put a counter. So for the most part, it's going to just be a 2/2 that can maybe block early on, and then load up a counter somewhere, which is not all that amazing. So maybe I just take like a Crushing Disappointment to refuel in the late game. Because I don't want a 1-drop that can just get blanked early on, is almost like a dead card. Definitely feels worse than Crushing Disappointment. Or I can just take another like Essence Infusion and try to cheese them out, which is always a reasonable line of play in this sort of set. Since again we're trying to focus on aggression, we aren't trying to draw cards at all. We just want to end the game quickly, and that's what we're trying to do. So I'm down for double Essence Infusion, and it makes a lot more sense in this type of deck, where we're playing like Detention Vortex, trying to enable Magecraft with flying, load up counters onto our flyers, etc., and just try to end the game as quickly as possible. So yeah, let's just give this a shot. And then I think it's 17 lands, even though we don't have a high curve. We have a lot of non-creature spells to play, and then slightly favoring black, so 10 black sources, 9 white sources seems pretty good. Let's give this a shot, see how it goes. And Leonin is obviously our poster child, since he's our first pick. Or she, I don't know, he, she. Depends on what they want to identify themselves as. Alright, so rank 3 Mythic. Let's see, what's our opening hand? We just need a 2-drop. Did we find a 2-drop? Yep, we found our best one and a 1-drop into our bomb rare, so let's keep. And it's nice having both of our colors. So yep, let's leave with the eye twitch. Could also be cute and use Essence Infusion on the eye twitch immediately to make it into a nice threat, but I think I'd like to maybe set this up with the Silverquill Pledge Mage and the Leonin, so we can get more value in the late game. But I wouldn't, I don't think it's wrong actually just loading this up and making this irrelevant threats. Okay, now there's a Silverquill Apprentice. So I could just pump now, but I think it's better to be mana efficient, and then we'll decide whether or not we want to use the Essence Infusion. But we're probably just going to play Finale to set everything up. And it's nice because we can get this flying, we can pump our whole team. Probably going to trigger, Elite Spellbinder. Okay, so that's going to make our Dramatic Finale more expensive. So the right play might just to be the Essence Infusion next turn. The question is which targets? Probably the Leonin Light Scribe. And then we'll see if he wants to trade off the Pledge Mage. Yeah, that's definitely the target, I have to imagine. So we could get a pretty good life gain hit next turn, so let's think here. Alright, so if we Essence Infusion on the Eye Twitch, we can make it into a 4-4. And then we can give this flying. If we Essence Infusion here, it's going to get 4 counters, but that's only until end of turn. I guess it's still going to be a 3-3, so either way the 3-1 will trade for it, so I don't really want Essence Infusion on the 3-1. If I Essence Infusion on a Leonin, it will become a 5-5. Maybe that might force a double block from the opponent, which I also don't mind. But then it's kind of awkward because if they target the Leonin, I lose out on a bunch of value. So I think the right play might just be Essence Infusion on the Eye Twitch, make it into a 3-3 flyer, and then eventually trade it off, give the Silverquill Pledge Mage flying. I mean, I could just do this and then attack with Fall, actually. Maybe that's just better. Like, I know this makes it into a big target, but he's almost forced to trade off in a sense. So, you know what? Let's actually... I mean, I do want to make this into a 4-4. I'll attack for 7. He would need to double block the Leonin to take it out. I think that's a risk I'm willing to take. And then I definitely want to give it flying so he doesn't trade for the 2-2. And then I can smash him for a ton of damage. And if he wants to kill my Leonin, he would need to double block it and lose both creatures, which is not really ideal. And I get to still preserve these other 2 creatures. Alright, so he's going to go for it. Makes sense. So now we can then take out both creatures, and then we have a nice... We do lose on the Leonin, but that's a 2-for-1 that I'm willing to take. It gives us a lot of tempo, and hopefully we can top deck a good instant. And maybe give the Silverquill Pledge Mage flying. So Sciences to maybe search up a land. And then eventually we can maybe cast Dramatic Finale. Okay, another Essence Infusion, that's even better. I think we put it onto the Eye Twitch since we can just give this flying. And then this becomes a threat that he has to answer eventually, which will also help us learn, so we'll just give this flying. Play land out because we want to eventually cast our Dramatic Finale. And yeah, now he needs to deal with the Eye Twitch, and once he does, I get to learn up a Inkling Summoning token. Or give... put 2 counters onto this. So opponent splashing red could be Return Pass Caller or the Heated Debate, which is usually a popular card to splash at common. But now you can see the power of Silverquill. Pillar Drop Rescuer can bring back a creature, but I can still attack my 3-3 into this. And if he tries to snipe a card in my hand, he won't have a good time because I can just play Dramatic Finale. I think I'm fine. I guess I don't want to attack with a Silverquill Pledge Mage because he can just block with the 1-1, so I'll send the 3-3. And eventually it will become a 3-2 token. He can play the Elite Spellbinder, but there's nothing in my hand. And there's also Dramatic Finale, so if any of these creatures die, they just become 3-2s. It only triggers once per turn though, so gotta keep that in mind. Wow, has a Rip Apart, okay. Don't see that too often, so the opponent's probably going to play the Elite Spellbinder now in trade. So alright, the opponent is stabilizing quite well, so he might just have a better late game deck than ours. But we're still doing fine. Need to maybe find an instant to jump the Pledge Mage so we don't have to trade it for the 1-1. I'm going to attack with the 3-3. He's going to trade with the 3-1, no doubt. And then we can consider getting either Inkling Token or Expand Anatomy. So there's some options here. Expand Anatomy wouldn't be bad on my Promising Dusk Mage. I could also Expand Anatomy on the Silverquill Pledge Mage eventually, so then it can also just fly over and force a trade on the 3-3. So there's lots of options. Let's say he has removal, then I'd rather just take the flyer. So I think I'll take the Inkling Summoning here, and then we're fine just playing this main phase, even though I could get this flying and also attack. Because I think we'll eventually get another instant to or a sorcery to go along with this. Keep in mind, Detention Vortex is not an instant or sorcery, so it doesn't really jump our creatures. But again, I'm still fine playing it. We can still trade the 2/2s for the 2/2s and hope the opponent doesn't deploy an expensive bomb. I think I'm fine trading the 2/2 and the 2/3 at least, so let's attack with these both. I'll trade for anyone, so. Let's see an instant here to kill the Promising Dusk Mage since the opponent just passed the turn and did nothing. And there it is, Heat Debate, so he's splashing for Heat Debate. Definitely a popular removal spell, so had we gotten Expanded Anatomy, it would have probably been worse, since he could have just used the instant to target one of our creatures, so I think we made the right call. So now we just need to have this survive and hopefully fly over to deal damage to the opponent. We're very close to closing out the game, but who knows, the opponent could just drop a flyer out of nowhere. And then God's Willing. Okay, I could God's Willing here and just use this to get in. And I can also just give it protection from... I mean, it doesn't really matter what color I give it protection from, because if I give it any color, he can just target this anyways in response. I guess I want to give protection to white because there's Expel, which targets tapped creatures, so let's just give this protection from white and see if it resolves. And then, yeah, I think I give it Lifelink, given that this is white, so he can't block it. Yeah, we'll give protection from white. And then I don't mind the Campus, although it's kind of a dead draw, so just want to hit another instant to kill the opponent, so this is fine. And then we also gain 3 life, so we'll say go. And then we just need one more instant to give this flying. And hopefully close out the game. We also have Arrogant Poets in the deck. Arrogant Poet can also fly over and deal 2. And I'm hoping he doesn't gain life off of this. Alright. And I can also scry my upkeep, which I don't mind as well, since I should have enough mana to cast a cheap instant. Even, I guess, with Closing Statement, can I do so? The only exception is Closing Statement, but I do have other stuff, so I think I'll just take 3. And then on my upkeep, we're going to scry and hope we get something good. That's a dead card, and I'm fine with that. So we just need 1 instant or a creature that can fly. So upkeep, we're going to use the Campus to scry. And hope we don't find Closing Statement because that's an expensive spell we can't cast. Alright, we get to bomb a land, so that's nice. And Arrogant Poets, it might just put the nail in the coffin. And I'll just play out land too because we might want to also scry on our upkeep again, and this time we can cast Closing Statements because it's 4 mana. Or never mind, we're still gonna have 3 mana left. So we'll see if the opponent can cast something to gain himself life. But we're definitely not blocking. So rewarding ourselves for getting that life gain early. And then we'll scry again on our upkeep. And hope again it's not Closing Statement. Yep, so the lands are very useful in the late game in this format, since they can... Alright, we can hunt for specimens main phase, so that's good. So let's hunt for specimens, and we can also just give the Silverquill Pledge Mage flying. And then the card I most likely want to get is, let's think here. I guess Introduction to Prophecy, since that can help us generate a bit of card advantage, and I don't really care about getting counters at this stage in the game, so yeah, if he has a single removal spell, he could still survive, given that he can gain a life off the Witherboom Pledge Mage. But we're still going to try to hit him for 5, and yeah, I guess he didn't get anything. Opponent playing some janky cards like Ageless Guardian, which I don't agree with, but the rest of his other cards are pretty good. Rip Apart, Heated Debate, so outside of Ageless Guardian, I do like his deck. So not a bad first game. And then once we're done with this, we can do another quick draft Strixhaven, and maybe do move back into Premier Draft Crimson Vow to see maybe we can get in top 1 or 2. And there's a lot of good streamers and drafters fighting for that spot as well, that I know of. But given the matchmaking system, we don't always face against them. It's funny enough, sometimes we just face against gold rank opponents, which I think they should kind of fix. Or maybe the draft isn't about ranking, it's more about like your win and loss percentages. I mean, how many wins and losses you have. So for example, if you have 2 losses, you'll be facing against an opponent with 2 losses, or one loss, etc. So I think that's how it goes. Not sure about that. I need to check up on that, but yeah, we'll see. So this is number 58 Mythic, I think. Yeah, number 58 Mythic. It's not too far apart. All right, turn 1, turn 2. Perfect. And then we can even turn 3 hunts for specimens. Even though I do like to get my black spells out ASAP, since we're kind of lacked on black mana, I think we still get the Leonin to do the most efficient work, and hope he doesn't answer it. But given that we're on the play, usually red doesn't have an answer until turn 3, unless they have a shock. So, yeah, I think we're just going to lead with Hunt for Specimens, and then grab an Inkling Summoning token to be safe. So let's lead with Hunt, and even then he'll trigger Magecraft if he counters the Hunt for Specimens. And he even lets it resolve, right? And then, yeah, we just want Inkling Summoning to have an extra flyer. And then I can attack for 5. And if there's no interaction for 3 mana here, like 3 mana he could have Heated Debates or Burying Books. I don't know, he could have a shock, but he would have shocked in response. I think he would have killed Leonin Lightscribe ASAP. So turn 3 is a turn I need to be careful of, because if I decide to attack with one of my creatures, he can just, okay, Arcane. So he's going to use that to buy some time. Sure. At least we got this out of the way, which is also a fine learn card. Like, the learn cards are all really good in this format. Even the worst one, like First Aid Class, is a perfectly acceptable one. Okay, he plays a 3-drop. I don't care about this. I could play Inkling Summoning, but I still don't have any good attacks. So I think I just attack for 1 and then play Silverquill Pledge Mage, which has a good attack next turn. And we can also get flying. So opponent playing a defensive multicolor deck, which seems like, so could see a fight spell here. Tapped by the Auric, that's a good one. Alright, so that's going to slow me down. But I can still tap 2 of these down eventually and attack and also learn. But I think I want to save down until turn 5 so I can like learn. I can tap them both down, learn for like the card that put 2/1/1 counters and take it from there. And I don't really care about Leonin in a defensive deck. It's only really good in an aggressive deck either way. So I don't need to worry. I could just get Shale out or Embrose. Embrose isn't bad. Although if I get out Embrose, I won't be able to attack with Silverquill Pledge Mage. I could also just play Shale and then Study Break on these 2. Or just play out Inkling Summoning. Maybe playing out Inkling Summoning is fine, and we can decide next turn if we want to double spell. You know, let's just do this. And then we'll just give it flying, and then we can even attack him for 4. And we also produce another threat that he needs to contend with. But yeah, this is a good rare to first pick. I don't think it's wrong. But again, you need to be heavily committed to blue. The main targets you want to steal with this are the tokens, the giant fractal summoning tokens. But again, you can always make the case to take a cheap creature. It's a huge tempo loss because you are spending 4 mana to take a 2-drop, but sometimes it is, again, a necessary evil that you have to do. Either way, we'll see what the opponent tries here. Decides to cultivate. I don't mind if he actually attacks, since we should be winning the race, and then we can even give us the Pledge Mage lifelink. I can take 6. Is the opponent going to attack? I highly doubt if he wants to attack with this type of deck. Yeah, we'll take 3. And then, so, alright, so now, could cast Closing Statements and just kill the 2/4 and get in a nice attack. I would like to use Closing Statement on a better creature, but I do want to trigger Magecraft here. I could also Study Break and then put 2/1/1 counters somewhere. But then I can maybe save that for next turn and maybe surprise him. Now let's just Closing Statement here. And then I want to put it onto my iTwitch, since I want to make this a target that he wants to kill. And then, do I give it Flying or Lifelink? Just to be safe, I'll give it Flying in case he has like a Snakeskin Veil, which he didn't have. So, yep. Not sure if I would have killed him if I Study Break, then plus played the 2/1 counters, but I should be in good shape. He would need multiple removal spells to deal with all 3 of these threats, and any single one of them can just win me. I can easily tap down 2 blockers next turn, put 2/1/1 counters onto my flyers and win. So I think we have this game, unless the opponent has a board wipe, which I'm not sure exists, unless it's the Dragon Rage. Alright, so he has a bunch of stuff. So, I could just attack with my flyers and see what's up, but he probably has like a Burying Books. So this is kind of awkward. So I think he has like a Burying Books. Either way, I think I might just go for the Study Break play. And then so I can have an all-out attack. It doesn't tap down 2 blockers, but tapping down 1 is fine. And I can still play like an Arrogant Poet to follow up. So I think I'll lead with this play. And yep, he didn't have anything, so... I mean, he could have had double Burying Books, but even if he did, and bounced 2 creatures, I guess I could have still KO'd him, since I can just put 2 1 counters onto my Pest token. And he would have to, he can only target 2 creatures, and that would still be 4 damage, so... So just farming the bot drafts. And we can easily spend another 5k gold on this. I don't hate it. I would like to return to Kaldheim though, even though that was a quick draft not too long ago. I recorded a couple of videos, but the quality wasn't great, and I accidentally had to exit out one of them while I was recording, and it just took too long to just redo it again. But yeah, Kaldheim would have been a fun one. I think the best deck in the format is like red. It's either red, white Boros aggro, which is very consistent and well supported, and then 5-color snow, and then white green was also just a very strong archetype to be in as well. That one was much more mid-rangey, and you're trying to set up a go wide tokens theme. But yeah, that format was pretty fun if you can do the 5-color shenanigans, which is very popular, but I still think maybe red-white edges it out a little bit more, given how more consistent it is to draft and easier. And you don't have to fight over the snow lands or the snow payoffs. Or cards everyone else just is trying to splash and play in their decks. And you can, and Run Amok was also just a very strong common as well, which wasn't the case in Dominaria, but it was really good in Kaldheim. So let's see. Number 3 versus Platinum. Alright, this hand wasn't as amazing as our last 2 games, but we still have a curve, 1-drop, 2-drop, and then hopefully we can pick up a couple more lands to deploy Dramatic Finale. I'll try it. Wish I have an extra land, but we can curve out 2-drop and the 3-drop and take it from there. Can even Lash of Malice and early threats if we feel like it's impactful, like Killian. Alright, Killian has to die. This is one of the Mythic uncommons in this format. There's Rutha as well, but Killian is better because it goes into the better guild, and then this and Rutha takes more time to set up. But I'm not going to tap out for a 2-drop. Killian has to die, otherwise he just gets a lot of a tempo from being able to cast spells that can target it. And then now I'm probably going to keep the Eye Twitch back to hold off the Silverquill Pledge Mage and maybe deploy a Leech Fanatic to start gaining some life. And we also missed the land drops, so I really can't afford to be that aggressive. So we'll see. And hope he doesn't put a bunch of counters onto this with an Essence Infusion. I don't mind trading the 2-2 for the 3-1, and I also have a God's Willing to protect it in case he tries his own shenanigans. So opponent passes a turn. I think I'm going to attack here, and if he has any shenanigans, we're just going to try to blow him out with a God's Willing. And we gain 2, nice, and we missed another land drop, so just going to keep applying more 2-drops to start pressuring him. He's passed his whole turn doing nothing for 4 mana, that's concerning. Okay, and there's Killian again, he's going to get back, so yep. That's a little bit rough. I think I'll just attack and not gain life. I could use a God's Willing to scry for a land, that's actually not a bad idea, so I'll attack. And then I'm not going to give this flying. Whichever ones he blocks, I think I'll give it protection, if not, it's fine. And then, yeah, we're missing lands, so this could be a problem. Killian is a gross card, so I probably need to keep some blockers back against it. Yeah, and he can just cast like a 3-mana like kill spell here out of nowhere. If you have Mage Hunter's Onslaught, it's just double black, and there's Accelerating Elocution. So yeah, not the card I want to see, and he gets to pump his whole team for a turn, so I don't necessarily get a good block, even with the Eye Twitch. So I'm in trouble. Let's just take 7, and then maybe we can set up something next turn, or play another flyer. Keep in mind this is a 4/4, so we can eventually target it with Defend the Campus. Yeah, I guess I can play Shadewing Lord, and if we chump it, we can just put a counter onto another target creature. I could also play the Pledge Mage. Killian is most likely going to attack this following turn, but I don't think I can keep up a God's Willing here. It doesn't seem great. So if Killian attacks, I think we need to just take 4, or just kind of maybe set up some sort of weird double block with Pledge Mage and Eye Twitch and hope it trades off. I'm fine taking 2 in the air. Let's play a Silverquill Pledge Mage here, and not attack. I mean, he could definitely blow me out with an instant here too, so I definitely need to be careful potentially. If he puts 2 counters onto this, then it's going to be a must-kill threat as well. So, yeah, when you're missing your land drops and facing against an opposing Silverquill deck with Killian, it's not a good start. Tenured Innkeeper. So if he puts a counter on this Killian, okay, he's just going to attack with that. So, makes sense. It's going to be rough to race this. I guess I can Essence Infusion now. And maybe put 2 counters here to hold off Pilldrop Rescuer, keep up God's Willing. It's not a bad idea, actually. I don't get to gain life, necessarily. But I guess it's a necessary evil. And then the question is, do I attack with the Silverquill Pledge Mage? Let's say Killian attacks next turn. I can still double block it. Trade off. Probably not, since we're behind and I don't think we can outrace this opponent. A Clever Lumimancer, great card in the early game. In the late game it isn't that impactful. And if we see a removal spell, I can still give it protection. Okay, and there it is. So I think he still gets to learn. But we got to make sure now we can bomb this, try to hit our land drop. We need to make sure, but I don't know if he learns here. Does he learn? I think he does. No, I guess, yeah, I think he still gets to learn. This has happened before, but at least we can prevent this from screwing us over. And then he might just find a way to put 2 counters somewhere, which could be a problem. And there's Expand Anatomy that he can cast for 1 mana, so we're going to have a trouble here unless we can maybe hit a land drop. Agonizing Remorse can snipe it. Okay, that isn't bad. Let's just do it now before he puts a counter somewhere. So, yep. The Pledge Mage is also going to be a problem later, but I think the Expand Anatomy is the biggest issue. He can just give it to his flyer, and then that's going to be rough to deal with, so we'll say go. He's going to play his big dude. If I get a land, I don't mind just dropping Dramatic Finale, and we can start trading off and making some flyers. He might have an instant here. Alright, yeah, that's not what I want to see. Alright. This could just be game over. So I'm probably forced to trade the Silverquill on the 5/3. I guess we're just going to get a bunch of life gain hits, so let's think here. So we definitely want to take out Killian, I have to imagine. And then we can save the Defend the Campus on the 4/4. And then we probably just need to, I guess we need to chump now, since we're going to take lethal. So this is rough. Maybe I just need to let Killian slide and just do more responsible trades. Like I could just block here and then double block here, and then kill Killian, take out Killian with Defend the Campus. I guess that's 9 damage. So I guess I'm just forced to trade off for Killian regardless. And then maybe just force a chump to stay alive. Yeah, that's unfortunate, but I think this is kind of like the necessary evil that we need to do. And then if I Defend the Campus, do I still stay alive? Not really, because I'll be taking damage from a Tenured Innkeeper. And then there's nothing exciting for me to get back. I guess I might want a Inkling Summoning to trade off. And yeah, if I play Defend the Campus, we can't really target anything. And I forgot that the only reason why Defend the Campus would have worked was because of Exhilarating Elocution. So yeah, good games. Can't really catch up if I'm missing land drops. If we were able to have a land to play, Dramatic Finale, that would have been a lot better since I would have recuperated with some 3-2 flyers for the next following turn. But yeah, we missed like land drops for like 3 turns. But I still think it was an okay keep since we have a lot of 2-drops in this deck. And even if we hit our 3rd land, we should have been okay. But we also missed our 3rd land drop like two turns in a row. So definitely not where you want to be against an opposing Silverquill deck. Alright, Shale, Dean of Radiance is excellent. Do I lead with it? I mean, I might as well, because if I can just put 1/1 counters everywhere. Could also take the other approach where I play Hunt for Specimens and learn into a 3-drop, which could also be reasonable. We're not going to be playing Embrose until turn 4, but I feel like Shale is just going to be at its best in the early game if we can untap with it. And then if it goes unanswered and unchecked, we can just, again, upgrade all of our creatures. So I think I'll try it and maybe lead with it and hope it doesn't die, or I can still play Leech Fanatic and take it slow. Worst case scenario, he could have like a Lash of Malice to answer Shale. So I could always just throw out bait and see what's up. Professor Symbology, alright. So, alright, and he's most likely... I mean, if I play out Shale here, he's most likely just going to play the Inkling Summoning. So that could be okay. I could also play Hunt for Specimens, which can hold off the 2/1, actually. So interesting call here. If I play Shale the next following turn, I'm definitely going to take 2. I can just play a 3/3 Leech Fanatic, and that can be fine. Plus it's going to attack for 1. Plus it's going to be a little bit difficult to cast later. So I think I'll play Shale, take 2, and then we can play out Leech Fanatic and make it into a 3/3. I'm definitely not going to attack with this. So let's see if he uses a removal on this immediately. If he does, it isn't the worst. We still have Hunt for Specimens that can do something. So he's most likely just going to play the 3-drop here. And then I'll be taking 2 in the air, but then we can maybe keep swinging back with 3 lifelink. So then the Leech Fanatic becomes an issue that he needs to deal with. So, do I attack first? I think I play the Leech Fanatic first, right? He could have an Expel. Expel only deals with tap target creatures. So he probably has something here. Okay, that sucks. I guess I might as well tap it, but it will die. And if he attacks for 2, I'm fine taking 2 because I can just swing back and gain 2 life, so I don't mind that. If he wants to trade down, that's okay. So yeah, made the opponent play off curve. I mean, I guess this is 3 mana, so he had like a good solution to it. Anyway, I'm not in a bad spot. I can just keep playing things, and I can just play the 3-drop and pass the turn, since I don't really want to trade the Professor for this. Alright, that's fine. Do I attack? No, not really. I don't really care about the 2/1. Just set up a good board, play Dramatic Finale, and take it from there. Can even cast the Closing Statements until end of turn, which I might do since I'll be taking more damage anyway, so we'll put a stop on our end step. No attacks. Move the end step. Cast Closing Statements. Target the Owlin Shield Mage. Put 1 counter on the Promising Dust Mage, so then we can draw a card off of it once it dies. So, and we're missing our land drops again, so hopefully he doesn't keep deploying flyers. Leech Fanatic, that's okay. And then maybe the 2/1 flyer, yep. So, yeah, let's see what we can do here. I could just attack and offer to trade with the Leech Fanatic. I guess I don't mind playing Dramatic Finale first. And this makes it less likely he trades, because if he does, I get to make a 3/2, so I'm fine just attacking, gaining 2. And then hopefully he doesn't have answer for the Dusk Mage. And then trade is fine, so now I can make a 3/2. And that can trade for his 2/1. So alright, that was good. And if he has a removal spell, right, the rest, alright, that's kind of cute. He gets to take my Agonizing Remorse or Hunt. Probably just going to take my Hunt for Specimens, because I can learn off of that. Yep. And then let's see if he empties his hand. And he does. I don't see this card too often. So what does this do? There's one half of it, discard a card, create a 1/1 black and green creature pest token with when this creature dies, you gain a life. Okay, so I don't care about the tap ability, and a 1/1 isn't that relevant. Each opponent mills cards equal to the amount of life I gain this turn, so if he gains a bunch of life, he can just mill me. So that's interesting. I think we just play Arrogant Poets, play Leash Fanatic, and pass. And then we can start attacking with the Arrogant Poets. So this can also activate on my turn, so interesting. I think we can just say go. I guess he might use this to try to mill me or make pest tokens all day. But he needs to play out his stuff regardless, and now this Agonizing Remorse is kind of a dead card. I'm fine if he takes the Agonizing Remorse because it's almost getting rid of it anyways, and the 3/4 still blocks the 3/3, so don't know what this implies, and I can still attack with my flyers. Campus can also start letting me scry. So do I trade the 3/2 here? I actually don't mind. And then, yeah, I don't really want to attack with the Arrogant Poet because he can just gain life off of it. So I need to find another good creature to start attacking. Okay, so I guess he can use this ability too. He can just exile cards to make me draw a card. Cogworker's Archivist. Okay, so... Alright, now we'll play another Campus and Scry end of turn, I guess. And take it slow. Do I have removal for this? I do have a way to tap it down. So I guess he's just going to try to mill me out the Cauldron by gaining a ton of life, which I think he's trying to do. But I can still make some good blocks and make some flyers. Essence Infusion is actually pretty good here too. I guess I can load it onto the Arrogant Poet and attack. And also give it flying. Actually no, he can block it, so never mind. That was kind of awkward. Alright, I'll play land and just activate the Silverquill Campus and the turn. Eventually we can attack past this Cogworker's Archivist. He can also use this to shuffle cards, so I guess he has an alternative game plan of milling me in a strangely enough, in a aggressive Silverquill deck. So we just need to find a way to close out the game quickly. But he has a lot of life gain on his turn, so we'll see. I don't mind trading off for this as well, it's okay. Alright, that's fine. So this is at the bottom, yeah, it only goes into the bottom, so... Yeah, we still have some good blocks on the ground. And we can still scry end of turn. And hope he doesn't have removal. Alright, we'll bomb the swamp. And then we're not going to scry on our upkeep because, alright, do I play on another land? I mean, eventually I can scry twice with it, so I might as well, and then we'll say go. And then he's just going to start shuffling things back, so yeah, this could be a little bit of an issue. If he tries to win the game by decking me, I'm going to be in trouble. He even keeps a card on top, so not a good sign. Hopefully no removal for my dramatic finale. And if he kills my Poet, I still make a 3/2. Not the worst. Eventually I can just trade for the 4/5. And I still make a 3/2, so it's not the worst case scenario. And if he kills my Promising Dust Mage, I still make a... I guess I can only trigger that once. Can also scry, I guess. Maybe I should scry, but I still got a good playable. So I might just trade for the Leash Fanatic here. So let's make some good blocks. Let's trade here and then block here, I think. Before he mills me out and kills me, so... And then I can still scry end of turn. Don't need a land, and then we'll play Shield Mage next turn and maybe trade for the 3/3, take 4. And we can still make a flyer. Keep playing out my lands, and I might scry on my upkeep as well. So yeah, we'll see. And even if I get a creature, I can set up a double block on the Archivist. And then we're fine blocking here. So just need a good creature to scry into. And then I'm fine scrying on my upkeep since I have enough mana to maybe still play a 2-drop. And set up maybe some sort of double block play, so we'll definitely scry here. And God's Willing could be okay, although it doesn't really accomplish much. It gives me an extra turn, but eventually I need to deal with the Archivist. But I might still use it just in case, because it allows me to scry at least, and maybe bomb something useless, so yeah, we'll try it. It's not very good though, but it's kind of like a necessary evil at this point. But I think the opponent might just win this, because he can just shuffle all of his goodies back. Alright, we'll just use this now. I guess this is colorless, so never mind, that's really bad. Yeah, I forgot that this was colorless. So I'm kind of forced to chump here. That was a really bad keep, actually. Yeah, I messed this game up. But I was going to draw land anyways, and so I was forced to chump anyway, so I guess it wouldn't have mattered. Spectre can just drain me out now. And I'm forced to chump, so... yeah. Can we scry into anything? We don't have any 5-drops left, I don't think. Any removal for the Archivist? Probably not. I still have a way to tap it down, but... yeah, I think we're just dead. Pledge Mage wouldn't have done anything. Yeah, let's just bomb in and see what we would have drawn. An eye twitch? Alright, that's not enough. Good games. This deck would have been better if again, we hit our land drops and curved out. I mean, I'm still playing 17 lands, so I don't really think we need to add like an extra land and go 18. I think that's a little bit too much. And the curve is still very low. Like, we're playing a lot of 2-drops as well, and our curve doesn't really top off until like 5, and we only have like 1 5-drop in the deck outside of like the closing statement, which we can still cast for 3 mana end of turn. So just having some rough starts, not hitting our land drops, and that's what's costing us the game. But you know, it is what it is. So as much as I like to brag sometimes and go 7 wins, this could just be an easy early 2 and 3. But we're still at number 3 ranking, and we can easily do another draft after this. Haven't seen our Detention Vortex yet, our 1 mana removal spell, or 1 mana tempo play. The only out, I guess there was no out because he had the Spectre Fens anyways, but if I had Defend the Campus, I could have at least taken out the 5/6, but then Spectre could just activate it and just drain me. So either way, I think I was in deep doo-doo in that game. So, yeah. Alright, opening hand, we have Leonin. Alright, there's our Detention Vortex. I mean, you gotta keep 2 drops with both colors, so we'll keep this and then leave with Shale and try to do our thing. Always leave with black mana to maybe represent Lash of Malice. This way they might not be inclined to play their best 2-drop. And then we're fine just playing out, I think, Shale here. And then we can also start making the Light Scribe into a 3/3, which can attack past a 2/2, assuming Shell doesn't die. But we'll lead with it so we can start adding counters. Could also wait until Embrose since we have a swamp. But either way, if I try to put a counter onto the Arrogant Poet, it will die. But I guess we can always cycle it and draw a card. Zephyr Boots, that's interesting. Don't really see this card get played too often. So he might just attack and start looting with it, which is okay. But I can still attack with a Shell and put a 1/1 counter onto like a Leonin here. I could also Detention Vortex onto this. I could also Closing Statement onto this, but I don't really want a Closing Statement on a 2/2. I honestly don't mind him just drawing a card. And then, yeah, we'll attack. And then, question is, do I play out Arrogant Poet or Leonin? Leonin is better later once I can cast an instant. I think I'm fine putting it on Arrogant Poets instead. And if I put the Detention Vortex, he's just going to pay 3 mana to unlock it and attack. So I don't really think it's necessary. So next turn I can play Dramatic Finale and maybe attack. Opponent's looking into his graveyard, not sure what that implies. If I find another 2-drop Shell would be kind of awesome, since I can just put 2 counters onto the creatures. But if not, I might just play Dramatic Finale and take it from there. But this allows the opponent to hit his land drops and find more playables. So I'm hoping he doesn't have like a counter spell, because 4 mana is a lot to tap out for. But once this is online again, we can just maybe take over the late game with our value. So no attacks. So he could still have a counter spell. Either way, I think we still... So we could just play like Leonin Light Scribe and take it from there. Or I can just tap out for Dramatic Finale. I think we tap out for Dramatic Finale. He could still counter it, but I guess if it safely resolves, now I can just attack with the 3/2 and be fine with not with the exchange, since I can make a 3/2 token. Burying Books, that's kind of annoying, alright. So maybe I shouldn't have attacked, but I can still play a Leonin next turn. And at least I made him use the Burying Books, which was going to be an annoying card anyways. Alright, so that's going to lock down Shell for a turn. I won't be able to put a counter onto anything. So I'm hoping I can get a land maybe and play Alan Shieldmage. So Frostlinks was a nice answer to Shell for the turn. But eventually he's going to have to kill my stuff, and then I can again make more tokens to trade off for his flyers. So you could see a fight effect here, maybe Mage Duel, or I guess he's going to move the boots to the Frost Trickster. Once he gets close to 8, killing the Scourge Colony is going to be quite relevant. And Detention Vortex is not going to be great in this game. Okay, so I could just play Leonin, end of turn closing, but I think Alan Shieldmage makes the most sense here, given that I can still block the flyer. So even without a counter, it's still a good card for a turn. Then we can put a counter onto Leonin and Arrogant Poet next turn. So it's getting close, just these 2 more lands. Shieldmage is still a very good blocker. Why is the opponent looking at his... I guess he might have Mythic's Mastery, but that's going to be hard to cast. Alright, I guess he was looking at a Torn Sculptor. So decides to make this into a 5/5. I can still take it out with Closing Statement. It would require 5 mana, but I'm okay with it. And then I guess I'm fine with this block as well, which is kind of awkward. I guess he has a shock to finish off Alan Shieldmage, or maybe that was a mistake. That was probably a mistake, I have to imagine. I think I just Closing Statement onto this 5/5. It's kind of annoying before he untaps and tries something here. So, I mean, I could also just gain value, allow him to hit me for 5 and loot, and we should be okay as well. And then set up something next turn. But I think we just kill it. Or we move the end step and kill it and pay for the ward. So I think we do that and hope it resolves. And then we can pay for the ward too, so... Because I feel like this is going to be a scary threat if I don't get rid of it. And now this 4/4 can just block all day. So I think that was a misplay when he decided to attack with the Scourge Colony. Wandering Archaic is okay too. I guess he can copy my spells. So this is kind of like ward in a sense, which we can still pay for next turn. So I think I'm just down to play Leonin. play the Arrogant Poet, and then put 2 counters, and then take it from there. I don't mind trading for the Arcade, actually, with a 4/4 Master Symmetrist, okay? Opponent is drawing into some good stuff. Another Arrogant Poet isn't bad. So eventually I need to trade off my Allen Shield Mage, but I still get to make a flyer out of the deal. I could also, I guess if I attack, he's just going to attack back with a stupid Zephyr Boots. And if I enchant, he's just going to unchant it. So yeah, Detention Vortex is pretty bad. Shouldn't have maybe played it, but I guess this is still fine. We can still put a counter here. And then if this trades off, it's a 3/2, and we can maybe 2-for-1 ourselves to get something going. I could also attack with the Arrogant Poets, and then if he decides to block, I can use Lash, and then Leonin will trigger. So I think I'm down to attack with the Arrogant Poet, and then not give it flying, since I'm fine trading off of any ground creature, and we can still get a 3/2 back. Like, we can easily Lash here, pay for the Wandering Archaic, and then that's pretty nice. And if not, we still get a 3/2 out of the deal. So eventually we can just outvalue the opponent, so this is okay. Zimone, I think I need to kill Zimone. That's just going to win her the game. So let's see what's up. Could always attack first next turn, and then if he blocks, we can again use Lash. Yeah, let's just do this. And then I don't mind Shadewing Laureate, but then I won't get to Lash. And I do need to pay for the ward, so the opponent doesn't get to use it on my creature. Otherwise, he gets to kill something here, which I don't really want. So let's just move to combat first. Attack with the Arrogant Poets. Decline the life. I guess this can only draw 2 cards if you, Okay, this isn't bad, so now we can Lash Zimone, which I think it's much more scarier. And then we'll pay 2, so we don't get to, we don't necessarily, so we can pump this and trade. And then also make a 2/3 Flying Spirit token. Alright, and then we can still, I guess I can just activate Shell as well to put a 1/1 counter, so I could have used that last turn, actually. Yeah, I could have also used this last turn once I made the Inkling token, forgot about that. But now I can happily start attacking my flyers and then take it from there. So now we can play Shadewing Laureates. Move to combat. Attack with, I guess, Allen Shield Mage, because if it trades, I make a token. And I can also just put a 1/1 counter somewhere too, so eventually I can maybe Detention Vortex and set up some sort of Alpha Strike. And yeah, the power of Shell in the early game is quite nice. So he might scry his upkeep to maybe find something. But he would need some sort of way to maybe burn me out, since if he clears the board, I still make a 2/3 token. And he needs multiple removal spells to answer my Inkling token. So yeah, you can't really allow a card like Dramatic Finale to resolve. I could also go for an Alpha Strike, tap this down, attack, and take it from there, but it's still not going to be lethal. If he trades with a 3/2, I can still put a 1/1 counter. Alright, God's Willing is a good one. So I could get Detention Vortex on my 2/2 attack, and then I guess this is colorless, so I can't necessarily God's Willing on the Wandering Archaic, but I could God's Willing on the Frost Trickster. And then preserve my 3/2. Not sure if that matters. I think I just keep this up maybe, and then take it slow still. Maybe I'm fine attacking with both of these now. And then next turn set up the Alpha Strike. But this basically almost forces him to attack. then, yeah, we can double block, and then if he has some sort of trick, we can just God's Willing and protect our creature. I guess he has a board wipe. I can still give a creature protection. Okay, Expressive Iteration to use it twice, but then he might just be out of mana. We'll see. I mean, you would need to cast something big here. I guess this is only... So it's only your next, so it doesn't count as the... So if he has more instants and sorceries, it doesn't really do much. It doesn't really copy the other portion of it. Opponent's playing some jank cards. Teach, by example, actually is playable in a deck like a controlling Prismari deck, but I wouldn't really play it in another type of deck. So this counts as a blue, so I could always just give protection to Leonin and attack with all next turn. The opponent decides to attack. I guess I'll set up a double block here. I can even just take it, actually. I mean, I don't mind just losing my Laureate, since I can just give my flyers flying. I don't necessarily want looting, so I think we'll take out the Wandering Archaic. And if you list the Shadewing Laureate, we can give a woman counter onto one of our flyers too. So yeah, we'll just give a woman counter to, I guess no, that wouldn't count. I mean, I'll just activate Shell then. And then we can just attack with our flyers and win the game, so... Yeah, I think he realized it, so... Yeah, either way, he wasn't going to win that one. There was just too many summoning Inkling tokens. It's basically fighting against a Blot Out the Sky. But Blot Out Sky, the only weakness of Blot Out is that it's expensive, and no, actually you can just cast X equals as many, but the Inkling summonings do come in tapped, but once you get to untap with them, you basically just win the game. And I never really drafted Blot Out the Sky yet. I'm hoping that I eventually do. Never really drafted it in paper or online, so we'll keep playing. Alright, opening hand, Lash, Agonizing Remorse. Alright, we have a curve. We can keep up a 1-mana removal, 2-drop, 3-drop, and then I do like using Remorse earlier on, but I feel like we can eventually just cast this on turn 4. So it's fine keeping. It's better to have creatures in the early game, and then once the opponent draws into better stuff. I think this could also just be better in the late game, honestly. And you could see a Lash of Malice or Eliminate on the Arrogant Poet end of turn. Don't see any. Promising Dusk Mage. So I guess this pumps the creature, so I can't necessarily attack into it. Could also give this flying and lose 2 life and attack him for 2. Not sure if that's worth it though. Opponent seems to be maybe also playing a Silverquill deck. I mean, I could still go for it. We'll still be at 18 life. And we're also on the play, and we have a Promising Dust Mage which can block, so I think I'll go for it. But I'm not sure if this is the correct thing to do. And then we can eventually closing statement and put a counter onto the Promising Dusk Mage. If he decides to put like 2 counters onto this, okay, so he's a Witterbloom deck, so that's about life gain, so I guess I get punished for playing this 2-1. And I don't think I block here because this could imply some sort of a 1-1 counter trick that I don't want to run into. So I'm better just taking it and trying to race, I think. And then we can leave with Agonizing Remorse, keep up a God's Willing next turn. So we had the trick anyways, so I guess we saw that a mile away, so I guess he can bring this back. I think the card I want to get rid of is the Arrogant Poet here. It is a 2/2/2/1 flyer, but I feel like the Promising Dust Mage having a counter is more relevant. So he just gets to draw a card. Not sure if that was even a good move to be making, but we can now Remorse and see what's in his hand. Snakeskin Veil. Let me see. Why didn't he get back his permanents? Oh, I guess he thought he could. Yeah, I think he thought he could get the Promising Dust Mage, so that punishes him. So we can. Yeah, I guess we'll take advantage of this now. That he made a grave mistake. So we'll so he needs to eventually find an answer. We have protection for the Dusk Mage, and if he has something, we can kill it. We can put a counter onto the Dusk Mage as well. So we'll see if he deploys a big creature as he plays Keon, which we're gonna Lash end of turn, and keeps crashing in for 2. So Lash is a good card. Opponents, I think this is just better off in Quandrix, right? I mean, you'll still play this, but it takes a long time to set up. Exile the top card, yeah. So you need a bunch of stuff of study counters on it. So I'm not even sure if this card is that great. Alright, Leonin's a good one. We can always tap 0 creatures to pump a team, since it's up to, right? Yeah, so we can always tap 0, pump team, hit for 6. And now we have God's Willing to protect Leonin. And a closing statement, so... yeah, I don't think you should be casting Deadly Brew until you actually have a permanent in the graveyard. So I think the opponent made a mistake there. Makes me sacrifice a creature. Sure, I guess I will sacrifice a Dusk Mage now, since Leonin is a much more powerful card. And then, yeah, hopefully we get another land to eventually cast our Shield Mage. Opponent maybe should decide to scry on his upkeep. Keeps on top, so it could be a removal spell, could be a creature. Opponent should have also just played the land that we knew about. Do I play out Embrose here? I think I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine playing out the 4-mana Embrose. We can eventually next turn just put a counter onto our Leonin. And it's also a 4/4, which is a good body that can deal a good amount of damage, so fine with this. And Deadly Brew. Which one do I value more? Probably Embrose. Each player, if you sacrifice a permanent this way, you can return another permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. I guess there was no permanents from the sack, so he got a decent 1-for-1 out of the deal. I still don't think that was a good thing to do. Yeah, opponent's deck was just kind of janky. So these were the weird uncommons I was talking about in Witterbloom that aren't great. Like, it's obviously decent if you can make pest tokens, but if you can't and you're just using them as random edict effects, they aren't necessarily impressive, since the opponent can just sacrifice their worst creature if you're behind, and you're still gonna take some good hits. But if you have pest tokens, obviously they would be fine uncommons to have, but they're also just non-impressive uncommons. Like, they don't really target anything. So another reason why I'm down on Witterbloom, just the uncommons aren't very good, and they're just kind of weird and janky. Like, Deadly Brew is not too different from Infuse with Vitality, which is probably just better. Even though Infuse requires a bit of setup, you do need to block and give your creature Death Touch. You still gain 2 life out of the deal, and the permanent also just comes back onto the battlefield tapped. So Deadly Brew, I think, is just worse than Infuse with Vitality for the most part. Infuse is, I guess Infuse is not good with pest tokens, but rather permanents you're better off blocking and giving Death Touch, since you can return it again. And Deadly Brew is better with pest tokens, but I think overall the extra life gain and then having the creature come back into the battlefield and not into your hand is a lot better. And besides, you don't really need to set up a graveyard for getting a permanent back with the Deadly Brew. So Yeah, I think Deadly Brew is just worse than Infused with Vitality. So another reason why Witterbloom isn't great, but I've seen nutty Witterbloom decks, and I've drafted some of those, so definitely don't sleep on it. You can definitely draft an insane Witterbloom deck with so much life gain in ways that pay you off with life that's it's almost difficult for the opponent to race you or kill you. Alright, Leonin in our opening hand, plus Shale again. Alright, we'll try it. And then now the grand question, which one do we lead with again? Kind of liking Shale again, and hope it doesn't die. I mean, I also don't mind Embrose, but Embrose is clunky along with Defend the Campus, and we just want to maybe get value immediately with Shale. Could also Agonizing Remorse first, which is also not a bad idea. Maybe the Sniper removal spell from their hand. Ooh, this is interesting too. So let's see here. If I Agonizing Remorse, we're still going to face with the same decision. Which one do we want to play first? So, I don't know. I think the Essence Infusion is also just great with once Leonin is on the battlefield. And I do want to set this up later once we have more creatures. So I think I'm down to just play Shell here. And hope he doesn't have a way to deal with this. But either way, if he does, Leonin is still a threat. And if this survives, then we can just put a 1/1 counter onto it. Okay, Professors of Symbology. So if we were in a draw, I might consider saving up Dean of Ambrose, but this is fine. So we can attack for 1, and then tap Shale, and play Leonin Lightscribe and make a 3/3, which can block the Professor nicely. It seems like the opponent might be in some sort of 3-color Abzan deck. Maybe base green for Witterbloom, and then splashing white, which is a common theme. I highly doubt he's in Silverquill splashing green. So this is a strange turn, so he's probably keeping up the Expel here, I have to imagine. Alright, that's annoying, so he gets to smash me for 2. Or he doesn't. I guess this turn we can Agonizing Remorse and play Eye Twitch. And see what's up. Okay, so the Mind Rot is annoying. Devastating Mastery is also just very annoying. The Mind Rot's pretty bad for me, because if he uses it, then I just lose out on 2 cards. He can always cast a Devastating Mastery, but then I can just bounce everything back to my hand. And he would need a quadruple white for this to get going. The Cramp Session is also just annoying too. But I feel like the Go Blank is just a much more annoying card. And then we can just attack for 1. I don't know if the opponent is just messing with me. But, yeah. Humiliate, that's fine. Rip Essence Infusion. Fine taking 4. And, yeah, let's think here. Don't care about Defend here. Could Essence Infusion on Shale, which is fine. But I think we're better off using an Eye Twitch to gain the extra life. And then I'm fine smashing for 5 since I'll gain 5. And if he uses the Devastating Mastery, we can always bounce back Shale and learn with the Eye Twitch. So I think we're in decent shape. And he does need triple white with this. So I think we're fine regardless. And the opponent just keeps playing out stuff, so... Right. Take it from there. And then now I could just keep the Eye Twitch back, actually. Ooh, Dramatic Finale was a nice one, so if any of these creatures die, I can still make a 3/2. So I think I'll just attack here since I don't want him gaining life for 2. And then if Eye Twitch, and I can always bounce Shale back, I can also trade off the Eye Twitch on the 4/3. So, yeah. I guess once he has 6 mana, he can kill everything, so, I might have, I guess once he has 6 mana, he can kill everything, so it's not necessarily the best plan, and he does. So he has a board wipe here. So yeah, this is awkward. I guess I'll just stay back and say go. Don't like keeping hand, but I might need to represent a spell. I can trade for this and then trade off again. Oh, okay, that's annoying. So the reduced to memory can now target my Dramatic Finale. Okay, so I guess the opponent now has a board wipe, and that's not beneficial for me. So if I'm ahead on board, it's not going to do anything. I guess I can at least put a counter onto my 3/2 end of turn. Sigo. And I don't necessarily want to put more creatures into the yard and run into a sweeper. I think I'm fine attacking for 4, and then maybe offering a trade for the professor, and that's fine. I mean, I do need to start committing, but he does have the sweeper. So not sure here. I guess he's hoping to win the late game. I might just throw out the Arrogant Poet just to have the extra creature. I mean, I could also attack for 4, but I'll be taking damage on the way back. So it's a little bit rough. I think I'm just gonna pass. But now he has he can command the deck now with the sweeper in his hand. So yeah, and he's just gonna try to start drawing more cards. His deck is probably better in the late game, since he gets a scry for more value. So he has a nice emergency button. So I need to find a way to maybe stay alive. Guess now I can play out the Arrogant Poet to hold off the Blackish Trudge. So yeah, let's just play out the Poet. And then yeah, activate Shale. Play land and I guess pass. And you can eventually get back Blackish Trudge. So either way, I think I'm in bad shape. Yeah, I'll trade here. I mean, he can buy it back with a lifelink eventually, but I still need to deal with this. Study Break and attack isn't a bad idea, but I would lose 3 life due to the ward. I could always attack and then use Study Break. Yeah, we're kind of in deep shit. I think I'll just keep passing the turn. Opponent can keep scrying and hold up the Devastating Mastery. I guess we'll just let this resolve too. God's willing. I mean, that doesn't deal with the mastery since it only deals with things that target. So I think we just keep passing the turn and doing nothing. And we might need to find a way to kill all of his creatures, eventually force the board wipe and have a decent amount of value left to finish the game, as the opponent keeps a card on top. So alright, we'll just give a protection then from black. Trade card for card. And bond the land. And hope he doesn't drop like a Liliana in front of us. And yeah, tapping down the creature doesn't do anything either, so yeah, I think we're in deep doo-doo. Alright, this is not looking good. As we're hitting our land pockets and not accomplishing much. You can hope maybe the opponent decks themselves before me, but it's going to take a long time. Gets to scry twice, so gets to find more action. As we find a closing statement, could force the closing statement now. Maybe that's okay. Take out the 3/3 and start attacking with a 5/5 eye twitch. I think I'm down for that. And then since he doesn't have any ways to gain life, we can now just force the board wipe and then try to rebuild with our stuff. So he's going to chump and then maybe force the board wipe this turn. But by killing the life linker, he doesn't get to race us quickly. And yeah, this might just force him to use the mastery, which I don't mind. Opponent's probably going to attack for 3, could chump it. Since this is going to force the board wipe, I think I'll chump. And then we can swing back for 5. So opponent's going to scry. I guess he's not planning to use the board wipe now since he decided to scry. But now I can just race him easily here. and then force him to use it. I guess he kept a card on top, so alright, we'll attack for 5 again. And if he has a removal spell, this could be questionable. Go blank, that's annoying. Alright, might as well. I guess I'll just let this resolve and lose both of these, since they aren't accomplishing much at this point, and Study Break can at least give me some value. So opponent has a nice control deck, so he might just attack for 3 here, or chomp and then use the board wipe. So let's move to combat, attack for 5. Probably see a chump here. Hopefully no exile build effect. Alright, so see a chump. And then he's going to board wipe and we get to rebuild at least, so not too bad. But definitely behind now, as we lose all of our bombs and our... so probably going to see this. Alright, that's okay. And then we get to bring out a Inkling Summoning Token, which can again help us grind. Hopefully no second go blank, and hopefully no second second board wipe as the opponent plays a land. Alright, so we should be fine here. So let's hope that all this stuff survives and we can just close out the game in a timely manner. And then don't need to keep land in hand. I mean, don't need to play out land. And we can tap his stuff down, and oh wow, even a Crux of Fate. Alright, so the opponent has a pretty nice control deck, but if we can even Duress is our Study Break, nice. Alright, the opponent has a good deck, but we still have some good creatures maybe we can draw into, but it's not looking good. As the opponent plays an Archivist to cycle his things back, so we're probably just going to lose here. Yeah, I think you got it. Yeah, good control deck opponent. Ways to blow up the board and then re-buy everything back. So there's a version of Silverquill you don't see often. So couldn't quite get the at least 4 or 5 wins here, but I think we did well. But I'll make sure I don't third pick or fourth pick did the Tension Vortex anymore. By the way, we were positioned to draft Silverquill regardless. And we're still at 3, so not the worst. But that was a cool deck. And that's an example of a good control deck. I guess we got 4 wins. Not bad. It's not amazing either. Let's claim our prize. And then let's just fire off another one with our 5k gold. And then could even round out the draft if we're quick enough with a Premier Draft Crimson Vow to keep grinding the set. Since I haven't gotten to 7 wins yet with blue-white. I don't think. Okay, so yeah, let's see. Pack 1, pick 1. The rare isn't very good. The red portion is just a random 2-drop that has a slight upside, but it's not much. I'm not a big fan of Dueling Coach. I think it's just too slow to get going. Like putting a 1/1 counter is not that great, since there's more cheaper ways to put 1/1 counters, and even put more counters onto a creature, and then the activate ability is just too expensive, and the body, a 4-mana 2/2 body is pretty bad, so not a big fan of Dueling Coach. The uncommon Zimone is probably the best uncommon in this pack, but I don't think we need to necessarily first pick it, since we do have Combat Professor and Environmental Sciences as the 2 best commons here. There's also Quandrix Pledge Mage, which is great. So between Environmental Sciences and Combat Professor, I do have Environmental Sciences as the best common, since it just goes well in every deck and can enable some sort of can enable splashes, can help you hit your land drops. It's good life gain for staying ahead in maybe some races, and then also great in Witterbloom. So I think I'll take Environmental Sciences over Combat Professor, but I do have Combat Professor listed as one of the top commons, and also an important common to have in Silverquill. But again, we don't know where we're going to end up in, and I think Environmental Sciences keeps us more open, and it's kind of like a must-have in these sets, in this set. So let's lead with the best common, Environmental Sciences, and take it from there. Alright, there's an easy closing statement. Although there's a Combat Professor and Heated Debate, if I want to stay open, yeah, this is rough. I think I have Combat Professor higher than Heated Debate. I don't like red in this format outside of a splash in Quandrix, but I do have Heated Debate higher than Mage Duel, which is also good common as well. But I still think I rate Combat Professor higher than Heated Debate. And between Combat Professor and Closing Statement, this is very interesting. Closing Statement is probably just a better card than Combat Professor. Like, we're not going to lack aggression if we end up base white aggro. We're going to have enough 2-drops to curve out with, and we need that essential removal spell for closing out the game. Whereas Combat Professor is just more power for flying and dealing damage. So I'm kind of just want to take the Closing Statement here. It's obviously not as flexible for Heated Debate, but I feel like Heated Debate is still like a tricolor card that I would rather just play in Quandrix as a splash. And then Mage Duel takes a bit of setup, also just a good removal spell. And again, if I want to be white aggro anyways, I just want to be in Silverquill, so I might as well just take the Closing Statement, which it's important to pick up removal in Silverquill since you're going to have a lot of you're gonna have a lot of creatures that will deal damage anyway. So I hate passing up the Combat Professor, but I think the best card in this pack is Closing Statement, and I'll take it here. Alright, Umbro Juke is okay if we want to stick with Silverquill. There's also a Maelstrom Muse if I want to move into Prismari. Outside of that, just some okay commons, Field Trip, Eureka Moments, and there's also Elemental Summoning. Given that I took Closing Statement, I think I just want to stick with Silverquill, and Umbro Juke is okay. 3-mana instant speed, make a 3/2, 2/1 is always fine, and then if you use this as a good Edict effect in the early game, it's also decent. It's not impressive by any means. I could also just see taking the Maelstrom Muse, to be honest, since it's probably just the best card in this pack in case we need to abandon Silverquill and maybe draft Prismari, which, you know, Prismari isn't great since a lot of your stuff is expensive, but once you have a Maelstrom Muse that can help you ramp into your expensive Prismari cards, is quite good. Otherwise, there's more flexible options, but I think they're a lot less powerful than the Maelstrom Muse. So you know what, since we're still going to stay open here and just keep taking the best card, I'll take the Muse. Umbro Juke is kind of replaceable, so we'll just kind of speculate here. And then, yeah, this package just sucks. I guess if we end up in Prismari, I don't mind a start from scratch as a fine lesson we can look up. Alternatively, not much here. I don't really care about the Biomathematician. There's a random campus for splashing and fixing, but we already have Environmental Sciences. Yeah, this is a terrible pack. We'll take start from scratch. And alright, Aether Helix is in this pack. There's also Guiding Voice as the most 2 powerful cards in this pack. If I want to stay open, I could just take Opt. But I think the best card here is Aether Helix. And we could still somehow splash the Maelstrom Muse in a Quandrix deck, and this being able to help us ramp whenever we attack is quite nice. So I'm down for maybe some sort of 3-color shenanigans. We'll pass up a Closing Statement, but I think this card is a lot more powerful. I mean, it's all subjective, right? Like, Guiding Voices can be insane in the right aggressive Silverquill or lower hold aggro deck. But, yeah, this is a sign that maybe Quandrix is open, given that it's a multicolor card being passed to us pick 5. So, down to just maybe end up maybe in some sort of 3-color deck, and we got rewarded again with a second Aether Helix. Nothing else too exciting. Alright, I guess we'll just ditch the Closing Statement here, and maybe just end up, again, some sort of 3-color shenanigans deck. Maybe even 4 colors if we open up Liliana or some sort of Busted Bomb. So now, Scourge Colony, Elemental Summoning are the cards in this pack. There's also a Hunt for Specimens. So there's a sign that Prismari is also open, but given that got past double Aether Helix, I think we're just going to be in Quandrix. Otherwise, we can maybe do some sort of weird combination and end up Prismari splashing Quandrix, which is a little bit of an opposite effect. The lesson is fine here, but I think, again, if we do end up Quandrix, it's important to have Scourge Colonies on turn 2 to trade off and become a relevant creature in the late game, which can block opposing flyers, since the biggest weakness of most green decks are just reach creatures anyway. So I think I'm down to take the Colony over Elemental Summoning, which is slightly harder to cast in the Quandrix decks. But, yeah, we can always play it or find... And this is better off in a Prismari deck anyway, so we'll take a Colony here. Alright, now maybe we can take a Campus. There's also a random Introduction to Annihilation. There's also a late Prismari Apprentice. Do I just end up Prismari then splashing green? This card is quite great. But, yeah, I don't like Prismari. Actually, the Prismari Pledge Mage might actually just be better than the Apprentice, funny enough. Given that I have double Ether Helix, I don't think I'm moving to Prismari anytime soon. I'm just going to take the Quandrix Campus. I don't really care about the introduction to Annihilation that much as a lesson. Yeah, I'm just going to move the Quandrix. We're not going to stretch it here. And red is just pretty bad in this format. And if I just end up Quandrix, I can just end up splashing red, take a Prismari Campus. Some other fine playables, but not exciting. And we can even main deck a Negate. Although, I probably just want a Cram Session here. Negate is fine. Yeah, it's pretty decent in this format, but I've been pretty impressed by Cram Session, honestly, just as a cheap way to learn. You know what, I'll take a Cram Session. It's pretty late, and now we can take an Elemental Summoning as a fine lesson we can grab over like a Vortex Runner. And then not much here. Maybe we end up playing Cogwork Archivist and we need some sort of top end. Alright, and we can even main deck Test the Talents, which is an improvement over Negate anyway, since you can spy underhand. So basically improve Negate, and I'm always happy with a copy in Quandrix. So, alright, a pretty interesting start to the draft. Even wield the Vortex Runner, so blue looks very open. Definitely looks a lot more open and appealing than Silverquill, even though we second picked the closing statement. But, yep, as we get open D-Spark, which is fine, but we're just going to take the Wandering Archaic here. Explosive Welcome could also be a fun splash, but I'd rather just splash Heated Debate, but Archaic is just good in any deck, and just makes it a nightmare for the opponent to cast their instances and sorceries, because they need to pay that tax. Other than that, yeah, Heated Debate could be a fine splash, Fractal Summoning is a fine lesson we can grab, but Archaic is just a good card. Not a bomb by any means, but just a good card that you're happy to play again in any deck. Alright, so now maybe we can take like a Eureka Moment. There's also Pop Quiz, which is okay. Source of Polish is excellent, but we're not in white. These two card draw effects are awesome, and they're fine splashes in Quandrix, but if we're going to be playing Quandrix, we're just going to play Eureka Moments, which I'm going to take here over Pop Quiz, even though Pop Quiz learns, just drawing the extra card is relevant, and Ramp is more relevant. Like, we can always just use Cram Sessions to learn. So I'll take it here over Pop Quiz, and I think we're settled in Quandrix at this point. Although, I hate passing these cards, but we'll still splash them if they're open. Alright, Zamon is great. Mage Hunter's Onslaught. There's also Witterbloom, but Pledge Mage, but we'll take a Zamon and take it from there. Hopefully end up with some large creatures we can cast. Alright, Cultivate is awesome. Definitely a nice first pickable card. Rip Apart will also be a fine splash in the Mardu deck, since it can also target enchantments as well, which came up in one of our previous matches. But now we'll make it easier to splash red or black now with the Cultivate, or maybe go 4 colors. And not much here. I guess we'll take a Colony. Pretty late Combat Professor too. But there's nothing else exciting for Quandrix. And alright, we'll take our Leyline Vacation. We could use a big creature to help curve out and close out the game. Seeing some late black cards, so maybe Witterbloom is open, or Silverquill. But first pack, alright, we'll take a Mage Duel here. How much removal do we have? Double Ether Helix. But they don't really remove things, they just bounce things. Yeah, Mage Duel I think is the best green common. We already have a Eureka Moment already, Leyline. So I think I want to diversify and take the removal spell now. And it does look like Quandrix is open. Alright, Burying Books, but there's also Quandrix Pledge Mage, which I'm a big fan of as well in these types of decks. Given that we have double Ether Helix, I don't think I need a Burying Books. We already have 2 bounce spells and a decent amount of interaction already. And I do need some ways to help close out the game and some threatening cards. And the Quandrix Pledge Mage is going to be perfect on turn 3, being able to grow and accumulate counters and become a relevant threat. Yeah, if I didn't have that too many interaction, I might consider Burying the Books. I do rate Burying the Books higher than the Pledge Mage, but I think with what we have going, we just need more threats, and this is a very good one. So we'll take the Pledge Mage, and then we'll take a Quandrix Campus over the Mana Rock and the Archway Common. And then not much here, just take a Bibliotech Assistant. And then now we can take a Witterbloom Pledge Mage as a nice 5-drop. Even though our 5-drops are getting stacked, I'm not going to take any of these other cards. Always fine with a Pledge Mage, even in Quandrix. And nothing much here. Alright, so the deck came out quite nicely. yeah, we have a pretty nice Quandrix slash Temur deck with red as a splash. Maybe even splash black. Ooh, alright, Dream Strix is nice. It's a nice evasive threat that can also learn later on. Even if it becomes a target of a spell, keep in mind they still need to use a spell to target it. So it's not like you're losing any card advantage by having this get targeted. If it was an ability, it wouldn't be that great, but now with a spell, it's still 1-for-1, which I don't mind. So, and then even if they try to use like a guiding voice, they don't get to learn since it will fizzle the spell. So yeah, I could use a nice way to fly over. If this wasn't as packed, would mind a field trip. We're also lacking lessons, so keep that in mind. We have a cram session to learn, and and I guess that's about it still. Yeah, we only have a cram session to learn, so it's not a big deal. We can maybe hope to pick up more lessons later. So take a Dream Strix here. And then could take the Expanded Anatomy since this package is kind of crappy. How good is Verdant Mastery? Doesn't seem like what I want to do. So you basically search your land for lands, and then you put one of them tapped under the opponent's control. So that's bad. So this card is terrible even if you don't pay the cheap cost. No, I guess if you pay the cheap cost to get a land, and you get 4, but if you cast the full cost, you put 2 lands onto the battlefield, so it's basically an expensive way to ramp, which is really awful. I guess I'll just take an Expanded Anatomy here. Don't think I need to prioritize second Vortex Runner, so this is a fine lesson to help us improve our creatures. Seems fair enough. And then now, could consider Field Trip, or could consider the Serpentine Curve. Usually in this format, there's a lot of instances in sorcery, so this can usually just make a large creature. And yeah, given that we are lacking ways to, we could use some more threats. I don't mind the Serpentine Curve, and I think this is a top blue common. Otherwise, Field Trip can help us ramp, but we don't have that much stuff to ramp into, funny enough. Like, if I'm going to be playing this, I'd rather just use this as a way to learn. And we have, like, Eureka Moment and Cultivate the ramp. So I think I'm rather just take the Serpentine Curve as a reasonable size threat in the late game, and this is fine. And I don't know about Scourge Colony. I don't think I care about taking it here since I have 2 of them already. Fine, maybe just taking a Pop Quiz as a way to cantrip and learn. And maybe, yeah, I guess Quandrix is getting kind of cut off from this side. But we're still getting some goodies as we see another late Eureka Moment. Double Major is not a card you want to take. Alright, Kelpie Guide is nice. Also, there's also just another Mage Duel. How much do we really value the Kelpie Guide, to be honest? I don't think we value it that much. You can also take another Serpentine Curve, but it's kind of awkward if you don't have any instances in the graveyard. Usually I'm fine with 1 copy, because I'll also just take an Elemental Summoning. Kelpie Guide's fine. Like, it's okay. It's not like a threat or anything. It's kind of just like a mana dork that functions as maybe a way to remove a creature in the late game, but it's really not that impressive. How many big creatures do we have? I guess we might even consider just playing the Cogwort Archivist in this deck as a random curve topper. We don't have that much learn. We have 1, 2, 3 ways to learn, I guess. So we could consider these summoning, but it's also just not that impressive. Let's just take another Mage Duel. Can't go wrong with too much removal. And then we'll take a Quandrix Apprentice as a nice way to help us get lands later. Whenever we trigger Magecraft and this card's kind of busted over a 3rd Aether Helix or another way to learn. And then, Elemental Masterpiece is a nice card to splash for. Speaking of power, we could use a nice curve topper here. And this is awesome. I guess if we take this, now we'll be at 23 cards, so we might just cut the Archivist anyways. It's not that exciting of a body. Maybe cut the Maelstrom Muse. Muse does give us some discounts, and it's also a fine splash. I'll definitely take the Masterpiece here, but we'll see if we want to keep the Muse. And Field Trip is nice. Okay. I'm always happy with a Field Trip, and then we'll take another Campus for more fixing and scrying and all these other shenanigans. And another Field Trip. Do I need 2 copies of a Field Trip? Probably not. So I can maybe take a Snakeskin Veil, maybe as a way to protect our creature. Maybe it's an upgrade over Test of Talents. Test is not necessary. Negate is always fine, but it's not necessary. And we'll take a Snakeskin Veil. And then nothing much here. Could even just ditch the Pop Quiz, I guess, at this point. Or Cram Session. Cram Session is cheaper, but it doesn't draw us a card. So, yeah, maybe just run something like this. I felt like maybe Prismari was more open in this draft, but still, either way, we still drafted a pretty functional Quandrix deck, I have to imagine. So let's see here. Let's just reevaluate our pool to see what we're lacking and what we need to incorporate into the deck. Definitely going to play the Elemental Masterpiece and Leyline Invocation. Definitely going to play all my 5-drops. The Maelstrom Muse doesn't seem that relevant. It does help us ramp, but I mean, it's not like we're lacking ways to ramp. We have like Eureka moments, and this is just a random flyer. So I'm not even sure if we need to splash this. We don't have that much evasion, but it doesn't really hit that hard. Our game plan isn't really to generate evasive threats. We already have a Vortex Runner that can give us a bit of evasion. Same with the Dream Strix. We're just looking to maybe just ramp, help us stabilize by tempoing the opponent with Ether Helix and our removal spells, and then we're just trying to play a big dork to help us close out the game. So I could actually see taking the Cogwork Archivist over the Maelstrom Muse, funny enough, but like in a sense that it's definitely worse than the Maelstrom Muse. So I'm not sure if we even want that. Let's take a look at how many ways we have to learn and lesson here. So let's take a look at our learn. 1, 2, 3, 3 ways to learn, and let's take a look at our lessons. So 3 ways to learn. How many lessons do we have? We have 5 lessons, which these 2 I don't care about as much, whereas these 3 are pretty relevant. So 3 ways to learn and 3 lessons. So it actually doesn't seem that bad at all, just with what we have. So I don't really need to consider the cram session. Honestly, I think we should be able to learn enough that we should be fine. That being said, Maelstrom Muse versus Cogwork Archivist. I still think we play the Muse. It's probably just a better card anyways, and we have a lot of instances to ramp out. I could also just cut the Snakeskin Veil and just throw in the cram session. Like, sure, we might not have a way to protect our creature, but maybe that's okay. Like, we should have enough ways to generate value that we don't really like, we should have enough maybe top end creatures to keep around that we don't care. Our Ether Helix could be kind of awkward if we don't have permanents to get back, but this can at least get back Wandering Archaic, Witherbloom Pledge Mage, maybe the Flyer, or Scourge Colonies in the late game, or even Dream Strix. I guess this is a nice combo with Dream Strix. So actually, yeah, you know what? Maybe we just want the extra way to learn with the cram session. This way we can hit our environmental sciences much more easily, so we don't have to play like double mountain. So maybe we can run away with one mountain instead. And then mana base, maybe just go even split green and blue. So by having the extra cram session and ways to learn, let's say 4 ways to learn. Yeah, this makes it more likely that we can hit our lessons on time, and we only have 3 lessons. So 1, 2, 3. All right. So yeah, I guess having the cram session makes it more easier to learn up, and then we can also we also have some interaction going on here, some card advantage, some ramp already, and I don't hate the cultivate, make it more easier for us to get our 1 mountain. So we do have a lot of ways to fix in the main library as well as learning environmental sciences. So I don't think we need to go up a mountain by any means. So yeah, something like this seems fine. Even split, keep it like this. I guess we forgot our campuses. I'm such an idiot. Yeah, let's throw in these campuses. What am I talking about? Of course we play the fixing tap lands. Do we need to play all 3 tap lands? Probably not. You probably don't need an extra Quandrix campus, even though it's really not that big of a deal, honestly, since Eureka Moment can always just put the lands onto the battlefield tapped. So you know what, we'll just play them all just to be safe. And then I guess we can start cutting some lands. So yeah, so this is so we can even go down an island. So just even split, I guess. So let's see, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 blue sources. 6, 7, 8, 9. I guess we want extra green over blue, given that we are slightly more favored green. So 9 green sources, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9 blue sources, and then 2 red sources, including the campus plus the main, including our main fixing. And there's nothing that can really blow up lands in this format, so I'm not afraid to just have 1 mountain, honestly. It should be okay. And then, yeah, this should be fine. Anything else we're missing? Not much. Could consider Snakeskin Veil, but again, we should be able to have some creatures have enough creatures to bring back from the graveyard with Ether Helix and ways to close out. I don't care about really protecting our threats or creatures. Although having it for the Quandrix Pledge Mage is kind of awesome. But it's still very situational, and we still need to keep up that 1 green. It's such a good card when it happens, actually, but I think we should be fine. Let's try this out. So, yeah. Temur, ramp. And our picture, not sure here. I keep using Cultivate as my picture already. Maybe Wandering Archaic. So let's give this a shot and hope we can get a higher win percentage than our last draft that we did. Like, the game plan is not to protect our stuff, it's just to keep playing out threats and drawing cards, outvaluing the opponents, and yeah, interact with the creatures, then getting like some huge hits in and chunks of damage. So it's really not about again, just preserving our threats, since we have ways to get them back later. Would have nice to have Rutha. Rutha would have been pretty busted in this deck too. Rutha is always an amazing splash in these Temur decks. So what do we have here? Scourge Colony on turn 2 isn't bad. Not an amazing hand, but I'm hoping we can maybe draw into some Eureka moments and ways to refuel. But I'll keep. We have all 3 of our colors. And a tap land we can play early on, so it's fine, but not exciting. Yeah, we'll play the Colony and then play the tap land next turn, or we can even just play a 3rd land to use a Mage Duel to deal with like a Killion, for example. Campus Guide. I don't really want to kill a Campus Guide. It's not that important. And we can always just play something bigger to outclass it. I don't mind taking 2 from this. So I think I'll just play tap land and say go. Opponent's doing 3 colors. Bant. Alright, I don't think any of these colors mix well. So I'm kind of interested in know what he's trying to do. Colony, I could fight, since it scales later and the opponent... Alright, so he's on the Guiding Voice, but I can still fight it next turn, so now this is a good target to fight. So I'm fine taking 2, killing this, and then attacking for 3 next turn. Or stay back. And yeah, there's nothing to Ether Helix, so let's just fight. Play out land and then attack for 3. Eventually we can make a 6/6 and hope it doesn't get bounced by like a Barian Books that he might be splashing for. Could see another Mage Duel here. If he Mage Duels, Ether Helix can come online. Main phases introduction. I'd rather have main phase early on, so I don't know. The opponent might just be doing some sort of 3-color control deck, I have to imagine, as the opponent attacks. So interesting. I don't think a 2/2 is going to accomplish anything. So this is an example of having an awkward Serpentine Curve. Sometime having 2 copies of Serpentine Curve if you don't have a lot of instances of sorceries. It's just a very mediocre card. I do like it in Prismari, but not so much in Quandrix. And the opponent might just outrace us here, so we need to find maybe a second Mage Duel, since the flyer is going to deal a ton of damage. Alright, the Maelstrom Muse isn't bad. It does block the Combat Professor, but it's also not amazing. It doesn't kill the Combat Professor, it just blocks it. Not sure if that's relevant, maybe, so I'll keep it. And I'm probably just going to play it out now so I can block the Combat Professor next turn. And then if I'm able to attack with it, I can play Leyline Invocation for like 4 mana, which I'm not sure if it's even necessary, but either way, it's almost like playing this for 6 mana, and I'm going to block here if he attacks. Or double block. Could always double block here. But if he has a trick, then it's going to kill both of the creatures, and I don't want that, so this is essentially a free roll. If he kills it, then I can bounce this and buy it back eventually. Alright, Beaming Defiance, so he's going to use his turn to do this. And then if I would double blocked, I guess it still wouldn't have killed both creatures, but that's fine. If I bounce this, he can just replay it and hit me for 3, so that's also a bit of an issue. I guess I want to wait until he Guiding Voices onto his creature. So let's just play out the Leyline Invocation here, and eventually we'll have a 4/4 reach creature as well. So he might just use the Guiding Voice onto the Combat Professor, and then we can bounce it once it has a counter to get a little bit of value. And then if we get a land next turn, I also don't mind that. And he has Introduction to Annihilation to answer my 7/7, makes sense. But I still get to draw a card. I'll be taking a bit of a beating, but then this will be a 4/4 next turn. So we'll take the hit. Play land. And then I guess we can bounce the Combat Professor. And then get back Maelstrom Muse. And then I'll stay back since he can pump this and hit me for 3, and I'm kind of behind, so this is okay. So kind of a weird deck, but sometimes you just have to make it happen, right? Eventually, maybe I can play enough instances and sorceries to make a big enough Serpentine Curve, but a 4/4 is still fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm hoping the opponent doesn't play anything scary here. I think I'll lead with the Wandering Archaics. Not sure. We'll play this. There's Prohibit as a counter spell, but I'm fine. And then I guess I can attack first and offer a double trade. Could see a Burying Books. Maybe I shouldn't have attacked. I guess he has a way to give this first strike, but so we'll order the Campus Guide first. And then if he trades, it's fine, since it's a nice 2-for-1. And then the Wandering Archaic is also a creature I can play out now, so yeah, I guess that trade wasn't too bad. I do lose out on the Reach creature, but the Maelstrom Muse can block it still. And then now if he decides to cast any instances, he needs to pay the ward costs for Wandering Archaic, so we're still in decent shape. And then we can start scrying with our Campus. So I don't know if the opponent has a sweeper here, but it seems like he might be splashing for like a Devastating Mastery, funny enough. Stonerise Spirit, so now he can give his creatures flying. So I think I want to main phase Eureka Moment and maybe find a way to deal this 5/5. Alright, at least we can place Quandrix Pledge Mage into Serpentine Curve eventually. I guess I can attack here too, just to ramp out Serpentine Curve for the turn, since he can get this flying again. And yeah, I just want to apply more pressure onto the board to help close out the game. So he can give this flying an attack, or he's going to tap out. I guess he needs 4 mana to do all this stuff. So I guess he can chip in for 2. So I might need to keep this blocker next turn, or else I'll die. So yeah, this is awkward. I think we just swing in for 5 and then try to chump the 5/5 if he decides to attack with it next turn, and hope we take it from there. Hopefully no Burying Books. And I can still scry end of turn and play out Zamone. So he might just give this flying an attack. I'm forced to chump, which is kind of awkward. But maybe I can find a way to close out, and hopefully he doesn't gain too much life. Probably see Burying Books here. Funny, opponent's getting away with a jank deck. And just takes 5, alright. And then we can scry end of turn, I think, once, and then hopefully we can find some way to close out the game, maybe catch him off guard, or a way to deal with the Stonerise Spirit or another random flyer. So if he gives the creature flying, I'm just going to chump it here. I guess it gains Vigilance, right? Yeah, the Combat Professor gives it Vigilance, so he also gets a blocker out of the deal, which is not what I want. So yeah, he's going to do it here. Makes sense. Yeah, so that wasn't a bad. And then we'll jump to 5/5 and hope we find a way to deal with the Stonerise Spirit. If he attacks with all, he could just die, so we'll see. So he's playing attack with all here because I guess I'll jump to 5/5, take 3, and hope he doesn't have a pump trick. And then maybe we can find a way to kill him. So opponent is kind of scared here. He doesn't really need to attack with a Combat Professor. Yeah, he's just going to keep it back because he knows that he might need to jump. So yeah, we'll just let damage happen. And then we'll try to scry here. End of turn. I mean, I could just scry now. I guess he might second main something here. Hopefully not a removal spell. But then I can use the... I can copy it. Okay, another random creature, right? We'll see. Vortex Runner. I don't think that's going to do it. I think we're going to bomb it. And then I could scry, but I might just use a Moan to draw 2 cards. Maybe that's just better than scrying. So we'll see what we top deck, and we just top deck a land, so gotta activate Zimone here. Could also scry first, but I might need to cast a spell, so we'll see. Okay, Elemental Summoning isn't bad. If I attack with all, I guess I can main phase this now and just attack with all. I guess he can just chump 2 creatures and survive. So I'm hoping he chumps with the Stonerise Spirits. Yeah, he can just chump with the Combat Professor and then win the game. I'm hoping he chumps with the Stonerise and he doesn't, so never mind, it's just GG's. Opponent sees the line. So I think we needed a removal spell, but unfortunately couldn't draw into it, so close match. But just took too much damage, and Combat Professor just did too much early on, so that's unfortunate, but whatever. Lost to a jank deck, but it happens. We would have won the late game if we had like extra life, but just took too much damage early on, and that wasn't great for us. If we managed to deal with the Stonerise Spirit, we would have been in good shape. So let's just keep playing. Alright, not bad. We have all 3 colors. We'll keep and maybe leave a Skirt Colony. Eventually grow our Serpentine Curves. Can even Environmental Sciences to look for a land or find a 5-mana 4/4 with the Cram Session. Maybe the opponent's AFK. But then, yeah, I guess they're just AFK for the moment. Alright, back online. And we might try to grab Environmental Sciences to hit our 4th land drop. Funny enough. Ooh, alright, Quandrix Apprentice, never mind, that needs to die. So let's not waste time here. I guess I can still cram session and play the Mage Duel for 1 generic less. Yeah, let's just do that. Make sure we tap like civilized people. And what do you want to grab here? I think we just want to play it safe and take Environmental Sciences. And then hopefully we get more Learn cards to play the Elemental Summoning. So I think Sciences is good here. And then here we can just Mage Duel. Like, there's a chance we miss our land drop next turn and we need to play Sciences. So just trying to be safe here. And yeah, the Quandrix Apprentice has to go. That card can just scale out of hand by just drawing him a lot of lands, and that's annoying. So let's see, I could attack first, and if he has a Burying Books, then at least I can shuffle the library with Environmental Sciences, so I don't mind forcing the Burying Books here. He can also have the Befuddler, but if he has a Befuddler, the Befuddler, it will still trade because it only gives -1, -0. Alright, divide by 0. That's okay. So I can lead with Environmental Sciences, find blue, I guess, or red, it doesn't matter. I guess blue, since I want to play Quandrix Apprentice, and then I can just draw a bunch of cards off of Quandrix Apprentice next turn, so yeah, I don't mind just digging through and getting more lands. So happy that I took the Environmental Sciences, and now we can do what the opponent was planning to do to us. River Wheel Aerialist could attack and offer to trade, but first things first, let's Eureka Moment. And I'm fine using this trigger first. So your Eureka Moment can allow us to put into a land into the battlefield anyways. But I might want an untapped land to play out Scourge Colony. So I think I'm fine just grabbing the regular land here over Campus. And never mind, we didn't get a regular land, so I think I'll play this. And I could just offer to trade here. But I think the Quandrix Apprentice is too good, we'll just say go. His game plan now might be to pressure me in the air, but we have Scourge Colony to hold this off and offer to trade. And I don't mind just getting more lands from the Quandrix Apprentice. So yeah, let's lead with another Eureka Moment. Or just leave a Scourge Colony first. And I'm probably not going to attack because he could have a Burying Books. So I'll play Eureka Moment. Could see a counter spell since the opponent is keeping up all his mana. But I still get to trigger the Apprentice and draw a card. So we'll probably see a negate maybe. There it is, Memory Lapse. Alright, that's fine. I guess now it bottoms the Eureka Moment, so that's actually a pretty good play. And if I attack here, do I want to trigger Burying Books? Like, it's not the worst. Like, eventually he's going to use on my Serpentine Curve, so I think I'm fine attacking here, and he can use Burying Books on my 2/2. Gotta force the issue eventually. And then I don't think I'm blocking the 3/1 because he could have an Arcane Subtraction. Fine taking 3, and once I get to 8 mana, this can become a 4/4, so he won't really get a good attack onto this. So. And if this sticks around, I can eventually cycle until I get the Eureka Moment again and start bombing cards. But yeah, I do love drawing a land every turn with the Apprentice. Probably the best Apprentice in this set. Opponent plays Cultivate finally and gets his land drops going. But he might just be too far behind at this point. It's not splashing a 3rd color, so I don't think I'm going to attack with a colony. I'll take 3, but I'm not going to attack with a colony, even though the 2 damage can matter. I just wanted to maybe use, I don't want to lose this to Burying Books. So yeah, let's just put out land. I think we just attack with Quandrix Apprentice. And then play out our 2 drops instead of Serpentine. So he's definitely keeping out Burying Books, I feel like. And I don't mind just taking 3. Eventually this will become a 4/4. Vortex Runner is also going to get a nice power up here. You could also have Prohibit, which is the counter spell, but I can still pay for it. Maybe should play Zamon first, but I feel like maybe Vortex Runner could be better in this situation since we're looking to race. Yeah, we'll just pass a turn. Opponent's behind on tempo, and I don't mind just taking another 3 damage. And then he's probably keeping up Burying Books, I feel like. Gotta play around it. Could be another Divide by 0, so make it awkward for the opponent to keep up Bury. Now, next turn I could just play the land and then just attack with all. He could bury on the Skur Colony, but I'll be attacking for a lot of damage. And even if he buries, I guess I can activate Zamon and draw our creature back. So I don't mind actually attacking next turn with all. This way we'll be ahead in the race, and yeah, we should be fine. He can also make a giant Fractal Summoning token here. I don't really have a ways to bounce it necessarily, but I can always chump. And if I can chump it, then that's fine. Okay. So now we can Serpentine Curve, and then I guess we can still draw with the Zamon end of turn. So I think we have this game on lockdown. And we can also just attack for 3. So yeah, move to combat, attack for 3. This is unblockable due to our lands. And now he not only needs to deal with the Vortex Runner, but also needs to deal with Zamon. That's just going to get me back in the game. And then once I put these permanents into the graveyard, I can just, yeah, I should be fine. So let's see, if he attacks with a 6/6, I think I'm going to triple block here. I could also just take 6. But just for funds, I'm just going to triple block and see what's up. And if he has a trick to bounce one of these, at least I still have a good double block. And then if my stuff dies, I can still Ether Helix and get it back. So this is fine. Maybe I can just force the hand now. And if he 2-for-1s me, then again, that's okay. I can save the Ether Helix for later. And Burying Books, if he uses it now, I'll just draw my Quandrix Apprentice, so this is fine. I didn't even really need to block since I can swing for a ton of damage on the way back. But I'm just trying to have fun here, so yeah, let's just draw some cards. Probably going to see a Burying Books as we get another Ether Helix. So yeah, let's play land. Guess we want to field trip first, maybe. Not necessary, but I do want to maybe get my lesson now. Eureka Moment main phase, alright. I mean, on his turn. Get the Elemental. Yep, the Elemental seems good here. Could also get Star from Scratch, funny enough. Yeah, Star from Scratch can also just take out the 3/1. So we could just do that and just pay the ward cost for 2. Seems worth it. Don't see this happen too often, but yeah, this is fine. And I can also just attack with Zamon, but I probably just want to use the ability from Zamon to put the land into play. Just to help us ramp more, and the 1 damage isn't much. So yeah, I don't see this ability come up too often. He might have a trick here. 2 pump it. Alright, so he had a Divide by 0 anyways, that's okay. But we still get to crash in for 8, unless he has a Burying Books. But again, if he has Bury, then he has Bury. Maybe it's fine attacking with Zamon, the extra damage can matter. Let's just get in with all, don't really care. Alright, now he's down to 1, so even if he plays enough creatures, Zamon is lethal, so... That was kind of fun, grabbing Start from Scratch. So it seems, I guess that lesson was quite relevant to have in the sideboard. Giant Serpentine Curve, but again we can bounce it. Probably just going to get back Colony at this point, since it's a 4/4 and I don't really care about drawing cards with Quandrix Apprentice. Yeah, and that's not going to do it, so... Yep. As we get back to rank 3, so... Yeah, we're crawling back. Alright, opening hand, a little bit awkward, but if we get our third land, we can maybe pop quiz. On the play, I don't like to mull. I can definitely see this hand be mulligan, but I think we'll try it. And hopefully we get a third land draw for pop quiz, and see how lucky we are. Alright, Zamon isn't the worst, but also I'd rather just hit a land. So need to hit a land immediately next turn, otherwise we're going to fall behind against the opposing Quandrix deck. Yeah, and this is what we get for, this is what I get for being dumb, so... Do I need to play Explore the Vast Lands? The opponent also just gets value. At least I can maybe Mage Duel this if I get a land, I'll do it immediately now, before it just gets out of hand, so... As much as I like casting Pop Quiz, Quandrix Pledge Mage is just way too scary. And I don't really get the discount for 1 mana even if I Pop Quiz, so... Letter of Acceptance is acceptable. And Apprentice, alright, I guess we're gonna Mage Duel this as well. Just gotta kill all of his scary stuff. And I don't want him drawing lands all day, so... There goes our removal spells, so now we need to rely on maybe our bounce spells, and we did miss too many land drops, so we're going to fall quite behind here in this game, unfortunately. Field Trip, yeah, opponent's just going to ramp and play large creatures, so by us missing our land drops, we're going to get punished here. If we get red mana, I might just play Maelstrom Muse. So at least the opponent's right land is good. So probably fine playing Eureka Moments main phase, since if I get 2 lands, I can play one of them and then use Simone to put the other one in tapped, and 1 damage just doesn't amount to much. Yeah, let's just Eureka Moment here and hope he doesn't have a counterspell. Yeah, and as I say that, there's Divide by 0, so that's going to slow me down. Not a counterspell, but that's really bad. Should have maybe done it on his turn to prevent it from happening, but if I was to get lands, I can use Zamon to again help me ramp even more. So either way, yeah, not good. Alright, I think we main phase this again and try. As we drew 0 lands, so yeah, we're definitely almost screwed here. Could also chump. Because if I chump, I can eventually just bounce this and bring back Zamon. So I don't mind chumping here. I just need to get a permanent into the yard. And then we can just bounce this with Ether Helix and buy back Zamon. So we don't get run over by this. As the opponent plays a freaking 7/7, so now we need Introduction to Annihilation to exile this, as we missed another land drop. Alright, we're definitely screwed. So we play land, and I think we need intro. Did we pick up an intro? I don't think we did. I guess we did not. Alright, I guess we just lose. That's stupid. I'm not going to deal with a 7/7 at this point, and we just drew too many lands. So, I mean, didn't draw into our lands, so it's kind of like unfortunate circumstance that keeps happening to us. Every single time we keep a 2-lander, it's like we can't ever get a 3rd one. But it is what it is. Can't complain. Magic's a game of variance. Just needed 1 land drop, honestly, and we would have been fine. But missed out on too much, and now we get completely punished. No green mana, but we do have Dream Strix, which is fine. And yeah, on the draw, I'll keep. We'll eventually hit green, since green is one of our heavier sources, and either way, we can still Environmental Sciences. Worst case scenario with the Dream Strix. So opponent going 3 colors, maybe splashing black. Interesting, Brainstorm. He might try to make some large Serpentine curves here, which is usually a sign if you're playing these cheap instances on turn 4. Spring Main Servant, alright. And as we drew green mana, so this is perfect. I think we're gonna use our turn to ramp instead of playing out the Dream Sting, since we can end up double spelling next turn, which could be relevant. So yeah, let's get another green source, I say. And then, do I need another blue source? I don't think I do. I think we're fine with just a bunch of green mana, and we should be okay. So now we can play Colony and Strix. Don't know which one I want to trade off for the 3-2. I guess the Strix, since if I get to 8 mana, I can eventually just make this into a 4-4. And I might just want to learn right away. So can easily take 2, trade with the Flyer. And we still have a creature we can fight with next turn, so... Okay, Master Symmetrist. Interesting. I guess if I Mage Duel, this would trade. I don't necessarily want to... I guess when this becomes a target of any spell, I just have to sacrifice it. So either way, it's pretty bad. Yeah, let's trade for the 3-2 and then just take 2 here. I guess I can make a 4-4. Yeah, I guess I can make a 4-4 and fight the 5-5, so never mind. So this is a good one. So what we want to do now is we want to play this, play Island first, play this, and then use green mana to fight. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then, do we attack for 2? It doesn't really amount to much. I mean, I don't really want to block for the Colony anyways. Let's say he kills this. I guess this can hold off to 1 damage. Yeah, I can hold off to 1 damage, but... I think I need to get in for 2 this turn. Seems reasonable enough. And we gain a lot of tempo from fighting this Master Symmetrist. Next turn, we can also keep up Eureka Moment at instant speed to also make the Colony into a 4-4. So that's also an option. Do I want to do that? If I guess I can still pop Quiz with 7 mana, so I don't really want to play the tap land, honestly. So I'm fine first using Pop Quiz here. And then Leyline Invitation was a nice pickup, and then don't really need the Environmental Sciences at this point. I think Expand Anatomy is much more useful to make my creatures larger. And then I can just play land here, and then keep up Eureka Moment to also grow the Scourge Colony. Could also put 2 counters here, but then he's going to double block. I think we just say go. And then if he attacks with a 5-4, I can also just double block it. And then if he has a trick, I can Eureka Moment to put another land. So Arcane Denial, so now I can Eureka Moment and trick him. And then, yep. And then force a trade. So he 2-for-1s himself and doesn't gain value from the fight. So that was nice. And yeah, opponent just scoops it up. I guess he realizes he couldn't beat the card advantage and the ramp I was generating this Quandrix deck. So that was a nice instant to keep up. Like, usually 4-mana draw 2 isn't a great Magic card, but the ability to put a land in and ramp makes it excellent. So Eureka Moment's definitely one of my favorite cards in the set, and probably my favorite card. Every single time I see an opponent cast it or I cast it, it's just really, it's almost like them casting Behold the Multiverse in Kaldheim, but it's probably just better than Behold, given the ability to ramp. Imagine if Behold the Multiverse allowed you to draw 2 cards and also ramp and foretell. That would have been pretty nutty. I guess Behold allows you to scry too, so there's also that tacked onto it. Cram session. Alright, I do want to deploy my Magecraft payoffs before I cast a cram session. I'll definitely keep this. Like, if we can trigger both Apprentice and Pledge Mage on the battlefield, it's pretty dumb. So, let's lead with this campus. Let's lead with this campus, Apprentice, and then Pledge Mage, and take it from there. And then we can even cram session and maybe get we can cram session, get a land, and then play out evolving environmental sciences to get our Rand mana as well. So we'll see. I mean, the fact that Quandrix Apprentices just gets us lands means that we'll eventually just get our Rand mana if we cycle through with cram session. So we could just get the creature instead on turn 5 and hopefully go off with it. We'll see. And hopefully no shock, which is uncommon in the set, as it resolves quickly. Alright, so if we can resolve Pledge Mage and have it survive, then that's going to be quite powerful. Nothing I need to worry about here at 2 mana, so I can crash in for 2, play the Pledge Mage, and then, yeah, opponent better have something. Otherwise, he might be in trouble. Stonebound Mentor, alright. Alright, so we do have a land here, but we're probably going to leave with Cram Session. And then, yeah, we can just draw a bunch of cards, grow our Magecraft creature. Don't want the campus since I have one already. Let's just take an untapped land. And then, now what do I want to learn for? Could always just learn for the 4/4 since it's another big body that we could play. Could actually go for the environmental sciences route. I think I'm fine playing out the 2/2 this turn. I know I could grow this into a 4/4, but I think it's better off to play the elemental summoning next turn and play a 4/4, so we'll see go. Especially since it just curves out so nicely. Can happily take 3. Opponent's playing, okay, could also see an expel or a way to tap our creature down. We just leave with the elemental summoning. And I probably don't want to attack into this because he probably has a trick lined up. And we'll take a red mana since we don't really need another campus tapped. And then, yeah, we'll just pass the turn, no reason to attack. Can start attacking the 4/4 next turn. So, opponent just playing a boring red-white deck. Hopefully no sweeper out of nowhere. I think if I was him I would take out the Pledge Mage first over the Apprentice. I guess he has like a Study Break. I guess he might have Lorehold Command. Lorehold Command can be kind of scary. Alright, just a Pigment Storm, that's fine. And I can just buy it back with Aether Helix by bouncing. I'm not sure if I want to do that this turn. It would be the most mana efficient play. But it's... And then, I guess if it's the most mana efficient play, I can just double spell next turn instead. I mean, this isn't the biggest threat, but I think it's fine doing this just so we can... double spell next turn and set something up, so let's try that. And plus it improves my Serpentine Curve. And I hate having to bomb these, but sometimes it is the way it is. And then we'll attack, and then maybe set up Quandrix, Pledge Mage, and the Dream Strix into Serpentine Curve. We could have a way to pump this in trade, which I'm fine with. Yeah, let's play land, move to combat, attack for 4. Could see a Study Break here, actually. Study Break can tap 2 creatures down and help him learn, since there's a pause. I guess I can also 3-drop into Serpentine Curve this turn. We'll see. Alright, Study Break, Reddit. But I can make a larger Serpentine Curve with the Aether Helix. And the nice thing too is that if I play out the Dream Strix, there's a chance he ends up killing it, and if he kills it, I can just buy it back with the Aether Helix. So I'm actually just liking Quandrix Pledge Mage into Dream Strix and take it from there. Opponent's just putting a bunch of counters onto his creatures, I don't mind. So we'll play the Pledge Mage, play out Dream Strix, and then if he pumps his creature, we can swing back and kill him. I mean, he's going to give it Vigilance, but I don't really care. I guess I can always chump and then buy this back with Ether Helix, so I might just chump with the, wait, Quandrix is an interesting one. I guess I can always just play a Leyline Vacation, and it's still going to be quite a large creature. Or I guess I'll attack with these two and then play out Leyline Vacation since I'm not attacking with the 2/2. The 2/4 can block it. So probably see a trade here, and then he takes 3, I have to imagine. And he just takes 6, alright. I think I just play this out since it just grows my Serpentine Curve, and I think even if it's a sweeper, I should be okay. And now this becomes a 4/4. I guess I should main phase to get my land, so... Oops. Maybe should, yeah, just gotten the land first, and then get in the colony. I forgot about this trigger. I'm not perfect, guys. I just know how to draft well, but I'm not necessarily the best player. Alright, there's a Defend the Campus. There's a Make Your Mark. Dreamstrix is dead, but I can bounce a creature and attack next turn. And he's probably just dead next turn. Yeah, Expanded Anatomy is just a good one to grab. Doesn't really matter at this point. Just bounce the 4/3, attack with fall. There's no way for him to exile, so we should be good. And he realizes, I mean, I guess he realizes he can only block 2 creatures, and he's going to take lethal anyway, so, yeah. Don't try to do the whole lore hole thing, guys. It's just not good. Like, your value from this set is drawing cards, not trying to exile, do so much work to put something into the graveyard and make a 3/2 spirit. Quandrix is a good payoff, keep in mind, but it's also just, yeah, the spirits just aren't good. Red is a pretty bad color in this format. Outside of, like, Heated Debate and Pigment Storm, yeah, red's commons are pretty lackluster. But we still have a long way to go. Alright, Cultivate can help us find our blue mana. We're fine. We're good. We'll just lead with this and then you know, start playing our stuff and we should be fine. So opponent might have an aggressive start with the Unwilling Ingredients. So probably a Silverquill deck, I have to imagine. Yep, and there it is. Ooh, okay, at least his 2-drop isn't that scary. I guess I don't mind. Do I want Cultivate or Field Trip? Probably Cultivate to get our blue mana online. And we can just find double blue here, don't mind. Field Trip is also okay, but I just want to guarantee I get blue mana next turn. And then we can also set up a turn where we Field Trip and use Mage Duel. Silverquill Pledge Mage, okay. That would be a fun creature to fight. Ooh, okay, there's a Quandrix Pledge Mage, but I can't fight with it yet. I don't necessarily want to play this into removal. But then again, next turn is turn 6, we might have to set up a Field Trip and Mage Duel, so I think we play the Pledge Mage and risk it here. Take a bit of damage, and then maybe we can fight off the Pledge Mage or the Stonerise Spirit. Probably see removal, there it is, Lash of Malice, alright. Just another busted Quandrix deck, or Silverquill deck. Probably has removal by Invocation as well. So I could actually just take the turn to Vortex and attack, or just to play out the more dorky creatures to hopefully block. Which I don't mind. Maybe we just go for the dorky creature approach, because he's probably holding on to, like, Mage Hunter's Onslaught anyways for the Leyline Vacation, so this could be reasonable. And do I trade a Colony for the Pledge Mage? Yeah, I don't mind. I mean, if I trade it, I can just fight off the Stonerise Spirit later. I can also just block with a 2/3. I don't really want to block the Unwilling Ingredients. Let's just block the 2/3. I think the Colony is more useful in this game. I'm trying to be defensive here with some large creatures and not necessarily... Alright, go blank, that's annoying. Ah, darn. This sucks. All these cards are quite good. Darn. Yeah, this sucks. Yeah. I guess I just want a large creature here. I guess Field Trip can also help me hit my land drop and learn. I could also just use a fight spell. I hate doing this, but yeah, I guess I have to. And hope I can just make a giant Leyline Invocation. Alright, Eureka Moment was a good one. But we're going to play Leyline. I think I'm attacking for 2 here. I hope the opponent doesn't have removal for this. Spectre Offense is fine, so he's just trying to kill me with evasion, I guess. So we might need to try to outrace him. Alright, the Witterbloom Pledge Mage is nice. Attack for 6. And then we can still block the 1-2. Gain a little bit of life, even the opponent tries to drain us. We can still double block and block the Stonerise Spirit if we want to. And the opponent didn't have removal for the 6-6, so that's good. Expel, so he did have removal. Alright. That's an interesting attack. I will block it. And then we can still play Apprentice, play Eureka Moment, gain some life, and also attack. No lands, damn it. Alright, we still get to draw 2 cards. No lands, so I think I'm attacking with both. He might just chump block and try to get something, but I can still Mage Duel next turn on the Spectre. I can Serpentine Curve and Mage Duel. I think I'll do that, even though I missed out on an extra counter. I don't think it matters at this point. Owlin Shield Mage is annoying, but I think the biggest problem is the Spectre Offense, since that can drain him and gain a mana. So let's do this. Let's I guess I have 7 mana available anyways, so what we can do is I guess we might want to keep the Scourge Colony back to chump block. So what we can do is use the... I guess I can just kill him, right? Unless he has Indestructible. But then he's forced to chump anyways. I could go for it. Yeah, we might have to just go for lethal here. And hope he doesn't have the +1/+1 counter Indestructible. And then he's just dead, so... So Go Blank actually is pretty decent in this format, given that Quandrix is always trying to play out its lands. Funny enough, we still won that match, but I can see a game where if the opponent has a ton of removal and Go Blanks, we would be in deep trouble. And we're at 4-2, so just more games and we should be fine. Right, all of our colors, let's keep and cultivate. Not an exciting early hand, but still serviceable. Hopefully we don't get run over by Silverquill, but I'm going to keep all 3 colors. Alright, there's a Campus, gotta play that one. I'm not sure what I want to grab, maybe 1 extra green source is fine, since we do have a second Witterbloom as we drew another one. So yeah, let's just lead by maybe grabbing an extra island. Maybe 2 islands should be okay. Not sure. It doesn't really matter, I don't think. Yeah, just grab an extra island. Play it tapped. So it's like draw a card and ramp, so the card is really powerful. Cultivate should not be slept on. So no turn 2 play from the Silverquill deck. But there's a turn 3 play, but he's a little bit behind now, given that now I have a Witherboom Pledge Mage, which can help me stabilize me a bit. Might just curve out into Leyline Invocation next turn to make a 6/6. Could also play Pop Quiz, as we see a Defend the Campus, so opponent's going to gain some life here and attack. Could play out the Colony Pop Quiz and make a larger Leyline Invocation. I mean, this is probably better later to hold off some sort of big blocker. I think for now we just play out the Leyline Invocation and take it from there. 6/6 is a lot, and then this is just going to force him to keep casting instances to fly over. And maybe next turn maybe we can Pop Quiz first, and then maybe find another creature to go along with this. Or I guess we can find the 1 mana removal. Start from scratch. So let's see, first things first, let's Pop Quiz. Ooh, Maelstrom Muse is a good one too. But I'm kind of just liking the start from scratch here. And then we can take out the Pledge Mage and get in for 6. And then we can play out another mountain and then attack. And next turn we can still double spell. So that was a nice turn for us. And then we can also have a 4/4 back now that we are close. We have 8 lands next turn. So yeah, we're doing a lot here. This is really awesome. I wish these can scale, like every single time you play a land it will scale, but it doesn't. And there's an Umbro Juke, so that kind of sucks. I guess he makes a flyer. He could have also maybe sacrificed a 6/6, but I guess his game plan now is to race me. Little does he know that's going to cost him. So let's play land, and I highly doubt he's going to triple block, since that's going to get rid of all of his stuff. So let's just attack for 6. And then we can play out both creatures, and hold on to the Mage Duel, so yeah, this is going to be a little bit rough for him to now deal with. He should have Umbral Juked and taken out my 6/6. Hopefully no Go Blank like our last previous opponents. That would be rough, since I might need to fight this Combat Professor eventually. Could probably see a removal spell here. And then I might just trade off the Maelstrom Muse. Alright, Rise of Exodus, that's a good one. But it only pumps it once, so I can still block the 3/3 and hold off the other ground creatures. So I don't really care. I guess he can make this into a 4/4. Okay, never mind. So he does get to crash in for 4. Next turn we can fight the Combat Professor. I guess we can cast Cram Session first, which is even better. Cast Cram Session, gets an Elemental Summoning, or Expand Anatomy, I guess. I guess Summoning makes more sense, because we might want the extra body. Play land, play the Summoning. Could have also gotten a discount, but I don't think that matters. Fight off the Combat Professor, and then attack with both. I'm fine taking 2 on the way back. So opponent took the greedy approach, didn't exile my 6/6, and just wanted to deal damage to me by dealing my reach creature, and I get to punish him. And then, yep, sweet. Opponent also had a decent deck too. Much more mid-rangey version of the Silverquill deck, some expensive 4-drops and whatnot. But didn't have the best start. I was expecting him to make me sacrifice the 6/6 instead of playing the 3/2, but I guess he had a removal spell in his hand to deal with the 6/6. So I think he thought he could. I believe he thought he could be greedy or something. So it really depends on how you play it. If I was him, I would have made him. I would have at least deal with the 6/6. So 5 and 2, let's keep this up. Just 2 more wins, and hopefully we can settle for number 3 Mythic with Strixhaven. seems okay. Apprentice on turn 2 is also great. So, yeah, we're having better opening hands now compared to the other games that we've lost. And if we get to turn 4 with Eureka Moment, that's going to be crazy. If it's Killian, I'm going to fight it. Alright, just a flunk. Fair enough. I can learn for the 5/5 or Environmental Sciences. Leash Fanatic is okay. I guess I can just Cultivate or Eureka Moment. If I Cultivate, I can guarantee a Maelstrom Muse next turn. And I can also fight the Leech Fanatic, but then I'll have to target my own Dream Strix. I might just keep this back so it can trade for the 2/2, honestly. So, you know what? I might actually just be Mana Efficient in Eureka Moments. Funny enough. You know what? Actually, let's Cultivate. Grab another green source, and then grab another red source. Put this one tapped. And then we can play out a 5/5 or not. I guess, yeah, this is 5 mana. Yeah, we're not fighting this, otherwise we have to sack the Dream Strix. I'm fine trading. He gains 2, but at least I can learn with this, so it's not bad. Or I can take it and then use this as a win condition, but this is fine. We have double Ether Helix to buy back our Dream Strix. And we can also learn and get some nice value here. And I probably just want to play Maelstrom Muse, attack, and then get a nice discount as well. Double Apprentice is interesting. I guess I can play the Wandering Archaic. I mean, if I Maelstrom Muse and attack next turn, I can cast one for 2. I guess I can cast a 3 mana spell, or I guess I can cast Eureka Moment for 2 mana, and then I can also play Elemental Summoning. I like the Maelstrom Muse. Let's take this approach. I'll probably take the hits from the Silverquill Apprentice. It's a lot of damage, but I might want to just go off next turn. So, right, that's a problem. I guess Winterbloom Pledge Mage is a creature we need to fight. So I could just Elemental Summoning and fight instead, but I feel like we should attack first to get the discount at least. So let's see, what's the approach? Yeah, I think we just need to fight here and then just take it from there and maybe keep the Maelstrom Muse back as a good blocker. As much as I liked it having a discount, I don't think we can afford it. And I think I'll stay back to disincentivize an attack. Pledge Mage, okay. Don't know which one's scarier, the Pledge Mage or the Apprentice. Probably the Apprentice. So I could always lead by attacking here, and then using the ramp effect. Yeah, I can always play out the Wandering Archaic for 4 mana as well. Let's go for it. I'm fine being aggressive. And then we can cast this for 2 mana. So, opponent's gonna take it. Cast this for 2 mana. And then we can also just do other things like Zimone and Field Trip, but I think the Wandering Archaic is a better blocker and applies a little bit more pressure. And he needs to pay a tax now on his removal spells if he wants to cast them. So if he has Onslaught, he might just cast on the Wandering Archaic and pay 2 and then hit me for a ton. So maybe I should have kept maybe the 4/4 back at least, but I also need to apply pressure against this opponent. So which one do I block here? I think the Apprentice is the most annoying. He does get to gain 3 life with this, but I think the Apprentice is just a more annoying creature. He can always make it indestructible, but then I can just fight it with Mage Duel if it becomes a 4/4. So Lash of Malice, and he's probably going to pay for it here, I have to imagine. Yeah, if you don't pay for the ward, I can just shoot down the 3/1. And it's still a trade, so that's fine. He does get the smash in game 5. So it's not always ideal. Although now we have Winterbloom Pledge Mage, and I can also Field Trip and ramp. I think I'm fine attacking. And then what we can do is we can play out the Winterbloom Pledge Mage, play out the Field Trip, gain some life. And then what do I want to grab here? I guess we can grab a Start from Scratch to answer the 3/1 eventually and take it from there. So now we have an answer for both of these. Ooh, Rise of Exodus. Alright, maybe I should stay back. Taking a little bit too much damage here, but either way, he could have used a 4-1 to attack, but I'm actually taking the extra 2 damage. Not sure if that's relevant, but I should be able to clean out his threats regardless. So, yeah, I guess I can still start attacking. So, Intro to Prophecy is interesting. Might just Mage Duel this next turn, actually. Like, I don't think it's wrong. Yeah, I don't think it's wrong at all. Let's move to Combat Attack. And then I could play this for, I guess I can play this for discount, but I won't be able to play both spells. So let's see, if I play this for discount, I guess I won't be able to play Start from scratch, and I need to do it now, so let's just, let's start from scratch on the 3-1. And then I guess we can Mage Duel the Apprentice to prevent it from going off. We can play the Zamone, draw 2, or play Elemental Masterpiece and take it from there. We'll see go. This is fine. Scry 2, draw a card. And we got him, sweet. Alright, we're gonna reclaim our prize as 7 wins, hopefully, for this draft. Alright, so, yep, just need one more victory and we should be able to get there. 6-2, just, yeah, one more win. Claim our 7, and then we get to show off our rank stuck at 3. It's going to be rough to get to 2 and 1, for sure. I did get to number 2 with Dominaria Premier Draft, though, but that was a headache. I had to like hit a huge, insane win streak in order to make it there. I don't know if it's worth it though, but we can still try to do that with Crimson Vow maybe for the next video. Opening hand, alright, Quandrix Pledge Mage is okay. A bit of a slow hand, especially on the draw, but I still think it's keepable. And then, yeah, we will try to leave with Quandrix Pledge Mage, and if we can get a forest with it, we can just field trip and fight with it, which could be pretty interesting. And the opponent's playing red, so we'll see if it's a Prismari or a Lorehold. I could die to a Lorehold aggro deck as my last deck, but it seems like the opponent is playing maybe 3 colors or something. Alright, passes a turn, misses his land drop, so now we get to resolve Quandrix Pledge Mage, hope it doesn't get shocked, which is uncommon in this set, and just probably a shock here. Eliminate, alright, eliminate's not bad. Probably gonna leave with Eureka Moment next turn. Could also Field Trip, but Eureka Moment's more mana efficient, so we'll pass. And then end of turn, Eureka Moment. Opponent missed another land drop, alright. Alright, we'll see if this resolves. And it does, and we even get to put a land onto the battlefield, so. No land, but we can double spell at least. I think I'm fine doing that over Field Trip. Just need to apply some pressure while the opponent is missing their lands. But it seems like the opponent might be in some sort of Mardu control deck, since he discard Rise of Exodus and eliminates. But they're pretty far behind. Pilgrim of the Ages, alright, that's fine. Even if he kills this, I do have double Ether Helix to buy it back. Alright, red mana. I guess I can just double spell here, just play Field Trip. I guess I could just play Leyline Vacation to be more aggressive. Man, I just keep playing so fast, I'm not paying attention, I'm sorry. There's a start from scratch I could use, but man, I think I'm better off just taking the creature at this point. Play land, and then end of turn we can also just pop quiz and take it from there. And by I guess this is a way to just have a larger invocation, so. So I'm like 2 cards ahead of the opponent already. Make it 3 once I cast Pop Quiz. And then eventually I can just activate Zamone and play out another creature. Retriever Phoenix is okay, I don't really care about it. So how does he bring it back? I guess you can't, it just learns and that's it. I can always fight it with the Mage Duel, and then... Does it have haste? Yeah, it does. I could just fight it with Zamone next turn and take it from there. So we can Leyline, fight with Zamone, attack him for 3, so he has to eventually use a spell on the Dreamtail Heron. Does he attack? And he does. Alright, I'll take it. I guess I want to save the Mage Duel until he puts counters onto it. And what can we grab? I guess a start from scratch now, or expand an anatomy. Start from scratch isn't the worst, but I don't see any 1 toughness so far, so I'm just going to take the expand anatomy to be safe. And now we can just play lands and Leyline. I wish I could Leyline and Skirt Colony. I don't really think I need to fight here. Yeah, let's just play the Leyline Vacation and then attack for 4. I want him to waste his counters and then fight. Since his plan now is maybe to race me. Since he's so behind. So it seems like a Mardu controlled mid-range deck, I feel like, or control. Could be a control deck if I'm not too careful. He could also have his own Devastating Mastery, like that previous opponent I faced against. So we'll see. So he might just want to play a creature and then just keep up Zamone and draw cards with her instead. So next turn we have 8 mana. We can we'll have 4 mana available, so we could still fight with Mage Duel or expand Anatomy and then fight. So he's just gonna make a 4/4 here, which is fine. Could also have a Beaming Defiance to keep up to protect Retriever Phoenix. So let's see here. Alright, I guess we try to fight it with the 8/8 and see what's up. Or I can play an Elemental Summoning and then just try to fight it. But then I don't get to draw Zamone. So maybe expand Anatomy and then fight. Although I do just want to play the Quandrix Apprentice. You know what? Let's just play the Mage Duel. Or I could just play Quandrix. So I could play the Quandrix Apprentice Mage Duel and then draw a land and then still draw Zamone. I think I like that. So this is fine. And then we'll just use Mage Duel here. And hope he doesn't have a Beaming Defiance. And if he does, I guess I can still attack with the 8/8. 2 mana is kind of suspicious, so Beaming Defiance, God's willing, alright. So he gets to block for a turn, but that's okay. I could just play out a Skirt Colony then, which can offer to trade for the 4/4. I'm hoping he doesn't have a sweeper. I mean, I could always just chump it, honestly, and just draw 2 cards with Zamone. Yeah, let's just pass the turn. I'm afraid he could have a sweeper, so I'm fine chumping and then just drawing some cards, or just take another 4. It's not like the end of the world. Because the worst case scenario got the 6 mana board wipe. I could still take 4. Could still be reasonable. Or chump and get start from scratch. Yeah, let's just take 4. We're still at 8. The opponent can maybe chain together some pump spells, but I should still be fine. And then next turn maybe we can try to fight this and hope he doesn't have another annoying instant, or we can play Skirt Colony and also set up a block against the Retriever Phoenix. So either way, we're still fine, I think. And I probably just want to put counters onto the Scourge Colony. Even though I can get him for more damage, having a large Scourge Colony disincentivizes an attack. But he could also have annoying blocker, so yeah, he's keeping up mana, so this is very suspicious. I should have maybe attacked first last turn, but then he would have used God's Willing, I guess, to block regardless. So could see like a study break. So could Colony put counters onto it and then Mage Duel. So let's see what he's trying here. Alright, closing statement, makes sense. Alright, so I guess I won't be able to fight this unless I make a 4/4 Scourge Colony. So let's begin by playing Scourge Colony. Putting some counters onto it. Triggering this, getting a land. Casting the fight spell. Getting more lands. And this time it's untapped, so I can just use Zamone. And then I can play land. And I can also just activate Zamone. I could also end up decking myself if I'm not careful. But, I mean, yeah, I'll play out Maelstrom Muse. I do need to close out the game, and maybe in a timely fashion, so this is okay. And hope he doesn't have a sweeper. Because these are the type of decks that have a ton of removal and sweepers. Especially if we cast like a return pass caller, that could be kind of bad for me, so. Next turn we can just attack with maybe all and take it from there. If Dream Strix dies, I can look up Start from Scratch to take out the Pilgrim. Or, okay, Pillar Drop Warden is kind of annoying too. Okay, so if he's playing out a creature, he probably doesn't have a sweeper, but he's gonna buy back a removal spell. I think I can leave with Eureka Moment and maybe find the 5-mana bounce spell to set him back. Although no, so alright, this is rough. Guess I can attack and cast a cheap I guess he's gonna chump. I don't mind a trade here now with the Pillar of the Ages, given that he doesn't have any burn spells either. So he's just gonna chump here. I mean, fall down to 4. Guess I can still cast the Wandering Archaic to put attacks on his plans, and then I guess now I can might as well play Cultivate. Hope I don't deck myself. Doesn't matter. I guess that's my only land left, but I do have Ether Helix. And we should be fine. Can even activate Zamone end of turn. So if he tries to buy back a removal spell, he needs to spend 2 mana, and then I can put attacks on his guys. I'm just hoping he doesn't have a sweeper here, but even if he does, I guess Dream Strix can help me learn. But I'm kind of light on playables. Eventually, maybe I can get by Ether Helix to bring back a permanent that can help me close out the game as well, so we'll see. Banishing Verse is fine. And he needs to pay for it, I assume. So he either pays for it, or I get to exile his own Pillar Drop Warden, and this is also monocolor. So either way, I think we win the game, and there we go. Easy 7 wins, I guess. I mean, we almost got trumped. Silverquill went 4-3. But as you can see, the power of Quandrix. Splashing red is the way to go, I think, over Prismari. I very rarely end up in a straightforward Prismari deck in this format. And if I do, I have to get like really lucky. Prismari could also accompany a white splash. If you find like, if there's like a late return pass caller, or or you open up like Velamachus, for example. That's like the best home to splash it in. So alright, 7 wins, not bad. Managed to do some quick draft Strixhaven again, and then we're still stuck at number 3 Mythic. And that's how it goes. Once you're in this rank, you need to keep grinding and hit a huge win streak to get to number 2, and then number 1 is definitely going to be a lot rougher. But yeah, anyways, a decent deck. Basically, we have almost everything covered, I think. Or everything covered. We have some good interaction, some card advantage with Zimone, some of our learn cards. Double Eureka Moment was great. Some excellent ramp. Zimone also ramps Cultivate, Field Trip, Ways to Learn, some large finishers, Elemental Masterpiece, which I barely saw. I think we cast only once a game, but I didn't see this card too often. Also, yeah, I guess we saw Serpentine Curve. We saw the rest of these other cards. Maelstrom Muse we saw. Yeah, we saw every single other card. The only cards we didn't see a ton of was Ether Helix and Elemental Masterpiece, but I think we saw all of these cards regardless. But probably casted the Elemental Masterpiece, I think, only once. But either way, yeah, I think we have all the ground covered for this deck. It was really awesome. Only thing that was missing, maybe a Splash Heated Debate. What else? I think that's about it. There's definitely other commons and uncommons and rares and whatever that I'm missing from this Temur ramp deck. But this is usually the strategy you want to be in this format. Is either you go. The first consideration is to either end up in Silverquill, which I think is the best deck, since it's very well supported at common and it can just win games really quickly, or end up in the controlling defensive value-oriented Quandrix deck. Or Quandrix splashing red, or sometimes it's not too often, but you could end up splashing black. But the problem is that there's not a lot of good black spells to splash for at common. Like Mage Hunter's Onslaught is a removal spell, but it's double black. So you mostly end up just splashing the uncommons and rares, like the Death Spear in green black. Forgot what it is, but it is a destroy card that costs 2 generic less if you gain life. And then there's also Baleful Mastery that you could splash for. And I'd rather just splash red because you have access to Elemental Masterpiece. Sometimes you get the 8-mana Explosion spell that deals like 5 damage to something and then 3 damage to opponent's face. I forgot what it's called. And then there's always, I mean, this is not like an exciting splash, but it's like the best card here outside the stuff from the sideboard. Yeah, it's like the best card from the sideboard. We could have main deck Test of Talents, but it's kind of tricky. I'd rather actually just have Snakeskin Veil over Test, since it's 1 mana, and then it's almost like a counter spell, because most of the time you just want to use this on a creature that they can't target. So yeah, I mean, these were other fine sideboard options, but we were just better off just running this anyways. The only thing, I guess, was a way to prevent ourselves from decking, but I'm not too concerned about that in this format. Usually the power level of the Quandrix cards are just so high at the top end. It's kind of like they need to, if they can't survive in 1 or 2 hits, you just win the game. So either way, yeah, pretty cool deck. Managed to get to 6-7 with this, and then might do Premier Draft Crimson Vow again. Not sure, or just do another Strixhaven draft. But yeah, the grind is really tough, and it took me at least like 3 hours and 30 minutes to make this video. So let's claim our prize. And I forgot to mention my preferences for individual colors. I think blue is the best color in this format, even though I prefer Silverquill as the best guild or college. And then white is second place, since there's just so many cheap, efficient creatures and ways to learn. Green, I think, is third. A lot of green commons are very excellent. That's why I do rate Witterbloom higher than Lorehold, even though Lorehold and Witterbloom are considered the worst 2 colleges. It's just that you have access to cards like Mage Stool, Field Trip, Scourge Colony, and what else? The Professor's Zoology, which we didn't even see in any of the games. Funny enough, as really excellent green commons, and then black is like 4th place. You do have like Mage Hunter's Onslaught, Lash of Malice, and I guess you got like Arrogant Poet or something at common, or I guess Hunt for Specimen is pretty good too. But I think the green sorry, blue, white, and green have the better commons, and then in red there's only Heated Debate. Best card in this pack, I would take Eye Twitch over Introduction to Prophecy. Introduction to Prophecy is one of the more unexciting lessons, but I'll still play this if it goes. I'll still pick this up if it goes late, but I can easily end up just taking a card from my own college to take over Introduction. This is going to be at its best in a more mid-range or late game-oriented value deck. You definitely don't want this in Silverquill since you're trying to be aggressive, and then tapping out for 3 mana just to use this to scry 2 and draw a card isn't really worth it. But I would take Eye Twitch here, pack 1, pick 1 as a nice aggressive early drop. And just a bunch of gems. The best card here is like Expand Anatomy and Pilgrim the Ages. I like Expand Anatomy more because if I'm going to be in white, I want to be aggressive and end up in Silverquill. Pilgrim the Ages is fine, but it's kind of understated for a 3-drop. And I'd rather just have Expand Anatomy to search up and pump my team. My creature, I mean. Reduce from Memory is also fine sideboard card. The fact that it can answer any target non-land permanent means it can deal with those bomb enchantments like the one I had in Silverquill, which the opponent did reduce to memory. Almost I had that entire game locked down, but he had to reduce to deal with my my enchantment and also the board wipe. So it was definitely rough to beat. Also had a way to keep recurring cards, and also cast Go Blank on me, which maybe discard too. And yeah, Go Blank is actually pretty effective in this format as well. Like the Graveyard Hate isn't that relevant unless they have Ether Helix. But the fact that Quandrix wants to play out all of his lands means that you have a higher chance of making them discard relevant cards. So yeah, Go Blank is definitely main deckable, but I'd rather develop creatures if I end up Silverquill. Maybe it's better in a Witterbloom or Mardu control-based deck, which I haven't yet drafted or showcased. But the Mardu control deck does exist in this format. Maelstrom Muse is the best card. Nothing else too exciting. I'll play a Vortex Runner and Quandrix, but 1 copy is enough. And there is Infused with Vitality, a decent common. Okay, this is Crimson Vow. Yeah, we'll take Bleed Dry over Undead Butler. Undead Butler also just excellent in the exploit decks, but Bleed Dry is the best common here. And then this pack isn't great. I'm not even a big fan of Screaming Swarm. It's just too expensive. I think the best card actually here is Chill the Grave. I do like this in blue-red tempo. Also, if you own any zombies, you get a nice discount from this. So if you end up in a red-blue deck with an exploit package, it gets even better. But obviously great in blue-black. This is not at its best in a blue-white deck, but you might still play a copy if this goes late. And yeah, just being able to tap something down, draw a card, and get in for some hits is nice. And blue is fairly aggressive in this format, with cards like Lantern Bearer and lots of flyers like Cruel Witness that are looking to close out the game, so Chill gets better. So anyways, yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. Get to showcase one of my flashback drafts that I got a high Mythic ranking on a couple, maybe last year, I think. Yeah, last year. But still couldn't get out of the top 3 Mythic. But who knows? I might do a Premier Draft Crimson Vow and try to get to number 2. But thank you guys for watching, and hope you guys enjoyed my video, and have a wonderful day. Bye.